Hello, beautiful people. Happy Saturday. We are here. We are late, but we are here. Y'all, when I tell you I will never get my life right. Okay? I feel like I have to just come to the realization that I will literally never get my life right because I told myself that I was going to start like trying to just really be intentional about trying to be organized and together and y'all. So I have this live plan for today. Okay, we're going to do something a little different. Now, I have done like topic style videos before, like my violence in movies video and stuff. Yeah, violence in movies video that I did, and there are very few and far between, but you guys have said that you like those type of videos. So I decided, you know what, it's something that I've been thinking about. So let's explore that topic, but let's do it live this time so you guys can be a part of that discussion. But also, I told myself, like, I just want to be more like the type of content creator I am is very just the type of person I am. I am so scatterbrained. I am so just chaos and just all over the place. But I said that I want to start trying to be like very organized and together. And this was the start of me trying to do that. I was like, okay, I want to do this live differently. I want to actually create like an outline for this video. And like, I just want to try to be a put together person and not so scatterbrained all over the place. Don't know how to plan and organize. Like when I tell y'all, it just don't work out. So this live was planned for 5:15, which is kind of a sweet spot time for me. You know, I have time to do what I need to do during the day, take a nap, walk the dog, whatever the hell. That's like a good time. Y'all, we are so late because, okay, I went to get my hair done and run errands, and I have like my regular 9 to 5, but then my part-time job is I do dog walking and dog sitting, and someone contacted me to watch their dog all next week for the holiday. So, and they asked me last minute. So I had to fit in like a meet and greet with them to, meet the dog, blah, blah, blah. So, baby, when I tell y'all this live was planned for 5:15, I did not get home till like 6:45. And I was just like, my nigga, like, it makes me so mad because I really try so hard to not be such a flake and not be so all over the place. Like, I'm that person. People get so mad at me when I'm going to meet people. Let's go out. Let's do it. I'm always late. I am always late. And I do feel like it is very disrespectful of other people's time to be late. But I literally, like, y'all, I just cannot get my life together or get myself together. And when I try to be like, okay, I'm going to be very intentional, I'm going to be organized, I'm going to be on this schedule, and I'm going to do it, never works out. Y'all know that movie with Bruce Willis, Mercury Rising, where this kid like cracks this secret government code, and Alec Baldwin is asking the nurse, like, how did this kid crack this code? And the guy is like, he doesn't crack the code. He's autistic and his brain literally just sees the code. I swear to God, I feel like my brain like just cannot see organization. Like my brain can only see chaos. Like I cannot be an organized, put together person. Like when I try to be one of those people like, okay, I'm going to make lists and I'm going to be, my lists are unorganized. Like are your lists chaos? Somehow mine are. But we are going to get into this live. And I did come home at like 6:45 and put together this outline for this video because I thought I was going to have all day. So I took the dogs out, ate food really fast, which by the way, I tried this vegan restaurant today that I've been putting off trying. And it is literally the best food I ever had in my whole entire life. Oh my God. But anyway, didn't even really get to enjoy it. Like I ate a little bit in the car, came home, just scarfed food down because I had to get this outline together because I refuse to let my chaotic mind win. And I am so determined to try to be organized and planned and not such a flake and not so all over the place. And this is why we get, oh God, okay. Anyway, okay, let me check the comments because But we're gonna get into our topic today. Hey TG, thank you for being here. Hey Kira, I like the background because it's going to be lit. Yes, yes, y'all. I am so hyped for these two new backgrounds I did. I got this new background, which debuted in a video I did this week. I can't even think of the name. Ballerina. That's what it was. Next was Ballerina, which is a members only video. But that was my first debut of this background. I love it so much. I'm so obsessed. And then I have a new horror background for when I cover horror content, which debuted in my When Evil Lurks video, which is also for members right now. I love this freaking background. I love that background. Like, I'm so obsessed. Thank you for commenting on it. Thank you for noticing it, because I feel like I work on like, did y'all see the intro? I changed the intro. Okay. So, and I'm so hype about it. So it's nice for y'all to like comment and notice those things. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Like, y'all. So my loctician was talking to me today because the name of the game when it comes to me is impatience. Like, I am the most impatient person in the world. But I have been complaining about my hair. Like, oh, it's not growing like I wanted to. It's not long enough. It's still so short. And I feel like it's kind of like, have you ever like gained a little weight and you ain't even noticed until like you put on a certain thing or somebody say something? I kind of feel like if you're looking at yourself every day, you kind of don't notice certain changes until it's like a big change. But also, I just have a hair length goal, so I'm kind of clocking my hair constantly. Like, I'm not there, I'm not there. But she really, like, when she first started my locks, I literally on the bottom, now I'm here. When I started my locks, y'all, I am so all over the place. It's not even funny. Like, I suddenly get real gung-ho about stuff, blah, blah, blah. But I was loose natural. I was so sick of dealing with my loose natural hair. And y'all, hair is not my ministry. I cannot even part straight. Like, I cannot do hair. So I was over my loose natural. I was over always having to pay to go get my hair done, et cetera, et cetera. And which I thought that was going to be over, but I still be paying to get my hair done all the time. But anyway, so I shaved my hair off. I did I think it's called like a buzz cut. It was literally like cut to the scalp all around and just like a little teeny weeny little fade in the middle. Like, I cut it off. I swear before God, 3 days later, I randomly came across a video on YouTube of this girl with locks. And then I went down a rabbit hole of YouTube of a bunch of lock videos. And I was like, I want to lock my hair. Literally, like I said, just had her cut it off. When I tell y'all, I was bugging this girl all the time. Is it long enough yet? Is it long enough yet? Is it long enough yet? And finally, she was like, okay, we can start your locks. Y'all, when I tell you I had the teeniest little twist, when I say like teeniest, y'all, and I feel like that's why my like sizing is so small, because they were literally so teeny. She had to do the smallest little boxes and make them so teeny, but I was just so anxious to start them because when I'm gung-ho about something, I'm gung-ho. But she was like, do you not realize you literally just started your locks 2 years ago and you had no hair on your head? She was like, girl, your hair is growing and it's growing well. But I'm just like, it's not growing. So, yeah. Thank you for noticing my hair. Thank you. Yes, yes. And I still love my color. I got color because I have massive gray hair. And I was that idiot who was like, oh, when I get gray, I'm going to embrace it. No, the hell I ain't. Okay. I feel like I'm too young to walk around here with gray hair. I actually knew I would gray early because my mom grayed early, and you gray and bald. You bald according to your mother and you gray according to your mother. So if you're a man and I think that's right, and your mother like balls or thins, then you're going to be bald. Anyway, I knew I would gray early, and I did. I started getting gray hair in my late 20s, but now my nigga in my late 30s, that gray is out of control. So I was like, yo, color this ish. But it really don't make no difference because the gray is popping out through the blonde. But whatever the hell, I still love it. I still love it. But thank you, TG, for noticing the hair. Sometimes life be life. And y'all, when I tell you, what is that like philosopher or whatever who's like, whatever can go wrong will go wrong? That is literally the story of my life. Hey, Tyra. Hey, thank you, girl. Thank you. Oh, thank you, TG. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate, when y'all notice certain things. Yes, Tyra is in the house. Okay. If y'all not familiar, go check out Struggle Reviews TV. She does throwback, she does current TV shows and movies. Sorry for missing out on the rap-ish stream. I was with my mom on a trip. Hey, Miss Kira. It's okay, TG. I'll go live several times next week. Y'all know Struggle is the queen of live. I'm trying to get on her level. She be having her slides. See, that's why I said I want to be more together. Because, I want to be like Struggle Reviews when I grow up. So, y'all, I got a little something planned for y'all. We got this. I got a whole outline for this video. Got a little slideshow. I'm trying to up my game, okay? I'm trying to be together. And I just put it together an hour before we started. But that ain't the point. The point is that I'm trying. Hey, Andrea, thank you. Good evening to you. Like, it's finna get good. We finna have a good evening. I got gray hairs too. Y'all, the gray do not be playing no games. I got my first gray hair when I was 26 years old. Same. I was about 25, 26 in my late 20s. And when I tell y'all, I spent so many, my mom dyes her hair jet black. Her hair is just like all the way white. And I was always like, why you dye your gray? Just embrace it. Just embrace it. That's that foolishness you say when you young and you think you know what you talking about. Nah, hell nah, baby. I do not want to walk around with gray hair. Like, and I'm all for like, women is, at any age, but don't play with me with no gray hair. I'm not about to do it. My gray hairs are getting out of control. They are like the mafia, like they are crazy. Girl, please don't make me curse in the chat. I'm trying to be like Tyra when I grow up. I hate that my gray has no curl pattern. You know what? It is so crazy. I don't know what slave master got mixed up in my lineage because I have such like hair of wool like Jesus, but I have multiple textures on my head. My hair, I was just like, when I locked my hair, I was like, that's gonna be so easy because I already got, slave hair anyway. But the slave master comes through because the middle of my head is a very loose, straight hair. And I'm like, how is my hair growing out straight? It is the weirdest thing. And it took forever for the middle of my head to lock because it is literally like straight. It is so weird. It is so weird. But we are about to get into our topic for today. And it's actually kind of a two-part because what started was I was thinking about how everybody always talk about Hollywood is out of ideas. There's no creativity in Hollywood anymore. Everything is a remake, redo. And honestly, the last like 10 years, 5 to 10 years, I have been the opposite. Some of my favorite movie ever of all time is Scarface and The Thing. And I'm like, they're both remakes. I'm like, there have been remakes since the dawn of time. Like, it is not anything new. But I was like, you know what? Let's really delve into this. Are remakes like happening way more prevalently now, or are we just being over dramatic and making it seem like it? So we're going to get into that. And we are also, that kind of segued me into how much the box office has changed over the last 10 years. So that is a kind of a little two-part topic that we are going to get into today. So let me get on my struggle reviews-ish. Okay, baby, let me pull up my little slides and stuff that I have for y'all today. And we're going to do something a little different, okay? Because, I'm just trying to come with some fresh ideas, okay? I'm just trying to give y'all, some good content. So what we are going to do is I came across a few articles that I really spoke to what I was feeling with this topic. So we are actually going to get into
these sequels and remakes than there used to be.
Pause. We are going to get into this article, and it's pretty short, but we are going to get into the article together. Okay, and we're gonna have this conversation. Are there really more movie sequels and remakes than there used to be? Now, I told y'all, now I started off on the side of people just tripping, it's always been remakes, but let's really delve into some actual, information to see, has the box office changed? Do we have actually more remakes and stuff now than we used to? So let's get into it.
Are there really more movie sequels and remakes than there used to be? You don't want it. No one else on Twitter is keen, and even actor Jamie Lee Curtis says it's a bad idea, but we might well be getting a remake of The Princess Bride anyway. Sony Pictures Entertainment has reportedly been approached by very famous people about retooling the classic 1987 story of stable boy turned pirate Wesley, and while Curtis, who is married to the six-fingered man Christopher Guest, said there would only ever be one true version of the film, Karis Elwes, who portrayed Wesley in the movie, raised concerns a reboot could damage the original version. Even U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, ever the master of subtlety, warned, "Don't mess with perfection." In short, the main response to that idea, but we might well be getting a has reportedly been
Pause, not my. Now, see, I'm trying to be like Tyra, and I'm already effing up. What's so funny to me is when people are always like, "Don't mess with the original. You gonna ruin it. It's already perfect. Why mess with it?" But are remakes actually a bad idea? It's a lot of, well, I guess I won't say a lot, but it's quite a few remakes that I prefer over the original. Like, it's not always ruining perfection. Like, especially now, I'm not one for remakes where you remake something that literally just came out like in the last decade. But if you remake something that's like super old, like you update it, you bring in a fresh idea. So I'm not one of those, oh, don't mess with. Now, I do have certain movies that I'm just like, leave it alone. But there are certain movies that I love, but I always think, man, it would be great if somebody came through and updated this and gave it like a fresh, take and stuff like that.
approached by very famous people about retooling the classic 1987 story of stable boy turned pirate Wesley, and while Curtis, who is married to the six-fingered man Christopher Guest, said there would only ever be one true version of the film, Karis Elwes, who portrayed Wesley in the movie, raised concerns a reboot could damage the original version. Even U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, ever the master of subtlety, warned, "Don't mess with perfection." In short, the main response to this movie reboot news could be summed up in two words: another one. It's a reaction that's completely understandable. Not only have Disney released a steady stream of remakes over the past 5 years, from Beauty and the Beast to The Lion King, but franchises such as Ghostbusters, Hellboy, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Star Trek, Godzilla and RoboCop have all recently enjoyed a big screen reboot. And if not,
I don't know if I'm in the minority, because when I tell y'all I live under a rock, and I honestly don't, until like the last 5 years, I never knew how movies were received by the masses. I just know how I felt about them. And I actually really liked that RoboCop remake, and I was never a fan of the original RoboCop, like, ever.
a full reset, the cinema schedules are packed with blockbuster sequels, be it a Mission Impossible, Star Wars, Fast and the Furious or Marvel outing. But while antipathy towards unoriginal films might be building online, are there really more sequels, prequels, reboots or remakes being released than ever before? Or is it, in fact, that they've actually long been a feature of cinema schedules, with social media simply bringing this to our attention like never before? Is everyone just complaining about nothing? In short, absolutely not. To properly examine if cinemagoers are actually being served fewer original films than ever before, we delved into movie releases of the last 4 decades to calculate if anything had changed. Going all the way back to 1983, we examined the top 20 highest-grossing films worldwide every year in 5, sorting how many of those big screen releases were a remake, reboot, prequel, spin-off, or sequel to something we've already seen on screen. The results? Scary.
Do y'all see this chart? This is crazy. We really do have more remakes than ever before. Do you see how this graph is going all the way up here? That is, and I have literally been like fighting against that. Like, no, they've always done remakes. It's not. This is so insane to me. We had a little remakes, and then we dipped all the way down here, and now we're just climbing, baby. We off the charts now. Like, that is so insane to me. Okay. People aren't just being dramatic. We got more remakes and sequels than ever before in cinematic history. That is so insane to me.
Scary. Very scary. Even though we generously decided not to classify some franchise solo films as a sequel, looking at you, Black Panther, we can still see a huge rise in unoriginal films over the past 30 years. While films such as Jurassic
A huge rise in unoriginal films over the last 30 years. Yeah. See, this is why you got to kind of do a little research before you go out saying stuff. Because I be caping hard for Hollywood. Like, no, it's not more remakes. It's not. They do have original. No, the hell they don't. I was wrong.
Park, Mrs. Doubtfire and Groundhog Day enjoyed box office success in 1993, a year in which only two films, Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit and The Fugitive, were based on previous screen outings. All but 5 of 2018's most popular films weren't a reboot, sequel or prequel. In fact, from Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, to Mary Poppins Returns, only 2 of the top 10 movies of 2018 weren't sequels. Furthermore, as of September 2019, only a single movie in the top 10 grossing movies of this year can be classified as original.
Only one movie in the top 10 is classified as original. Y'all, and do you see this chart? We have so many more. Y'all, this is correct. Like, this has almost tripled. Lord Jesus, come on, Hollywood, baby. Come on.
Elton John biopic Rocketman. The figures show a steady rise in sequels and remakes since 1993, with their number multiplying by 700% over 25 years.
Multiplying over 700%? Come on, man. Come on. Oh, God damn.
But what does the future hold? Are even more remakes and sequels on the way in 2020 and beyond? Fortunately, there are some treats in store if you're a film lover with reboot fatigue. For instance, in March, Pixar are set to release Onward, a charming fantasy story that will see Tom Holland and Chris Pratt voice a pair of adorable elves. And there's also Artemis Fowl, the much-awaited adaptation of the hit book series. We're being generous and terming novel adaptations as original, providing they've not been adapted for the screen before. However, if you're...
So that's not technically an original idea, but it's also not a remake or a sequel. So, yeah, they got to cheat a little bit.
Trying to avoid sequels and remakes, you might notice just a few in cinemas is Peter Rabbit 2, The King's Man, Fantasy Island, A Quiet Place, Part 2, James Bond's No Time to Die, Legally Blonde 3, Fast and Furious 9, Wonder Woman 1984, Top Gun, Maverick, Ghostbusters 2020, Godzilla vs. Kong, The Conjuring 3, Venom 2, Mulan, Emma, Bad Boys for Life, Trolls World Tour and a new Scooby-Doo reboot. But who's counting, eh?
Y'all, that is so correct. We have, in fact, way less original content, way less original movies being made in Hollywood than ever before in cinematic history. That is so insane. I know Clownfish TV has been talking about how creativity, mostly Disney, is dead. I read an article about Disney. We gonna get into Disney. Show the power of Tyra's Fro or Lot's Girl. That AI voice. And you know what? Okay, y'all, this, I'm trying to be on my Tyra level. Okay, so we trying to work some stuff out. First of all, it said I could pick a voice, and I like that voice. Okay, but also I don't know why I got that echo. I'll figure that out for our next outing, for our next live we do. The remake of Sabrina was far better than the 1950s original. And that is why I have always caped so hard against people always being so ridiculous about remakes. It's so many remakes that I like more than the original, even if I love the original. I love the original, The Blob, but I do personally think the Blob remake is better. you know, I know it's not for a horror fan to say, but I am not a fan of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I prefer the 2003 remake. I, it's a lot of remakes that I prefer over the original that I think is better than the original, even if I like the original. So I've always felt like remakes get a bad rep. I admit that I had doubts about, for example, the Little Mermaid remake because the last movie, Pinocchio, was ish. So that's why I was nervous about it. But I finally watched it and I liked it a lot. See? And I get it. If you're really like tied to the original, you don't want anybody else coming in, especially when it's something really iconic where you have a situation of like a certain actor that plays a role and you feel like you can't see nobody else doing it, or however the movie is put together that you just feel like no one can do it any better. Like, I get that completely. I feel like I don't know, die of a heart attack if they ever remade Scarface. Even though Scarface is a remake, I prefer the remake, and I cannot see anyone else except Al Pacino, except the guy that played Manolo and like, I can't see any. I'm just like, don't F with it. So I do get why people feel the way that they feel. Hey, Equalizer, saw your Tyra hip. I feel remakes are hit or miss. Yes, I definitely feel like remakes are 100% hit or miss. And then that gets us into remake or reimagining, because there is a difference. Now, personally, remake or reimagining, I honestly can't say if I prefer a reimagining over a remake or a remake over a reimagining. I do feel like it's a case by case basis. For example, we have, well, John Carpenter's The Thing, which isn't the original, it's a remake, right? But John Carpenter's The Thing is very classic and iconic. And when they came back and made The Thing, I think it's 2011, 2012, I think they approached it in a smart way. They did not remake the original The Thing, because that's, you don't even want to tread that territory, okay? What they did was, and it wasn't a reimagining, it was a prequel that they did with The Thing, which I thought was the smart way to go. First of all, from the first time I ever saw John Carpenter's The Thing, I have always said they should show us what happened to the Norwegians before it gets to Kurt Russell and all of them. So the fact that they went that route and said, you know what, we're not finna F with John Carpenter's The Thing. We ain't even finna try to even go there. We're going to just tell a new story. Like, we're treading familiar territory, but we're trying to tell it in a new way. I think that was the smarter way. So in the case of remake versus reimagining, and I guess you could throw in versus, you know, then, well, we get into a whole other thing when we talk about prequels and reboot, all that stuff. But I feel I feel like it's a case by case basis. Sometimes I think a complete remake is a good idea. However, I don't think you should go beat for beat with the original. But then you also tread in scary water, because sometimes if you don't go beat by beat and you go a whole nother direction, fans get upset. Like, that ain't how I win, and that ain't what that you know. So it's, either way, it's hard territory to try to tread, however you are going to approach it. So I don't know. What do y'all think? Remake or reimagining? Because I personally feel like it's a case by case basis. Like, it's not just a reimaginings are better or remakes are better. I think it's a case by case. If you have something as iconic as The Thing, I definitely don't think you should go remake, because that's just asking for trouble right out the gate. Like, I feel like people are going to hate it before they even see it. Like, you're already kind of setting yourself up for failure. Let's see. Don't remake or reimagine. Throw it. Don't remake or reimagine, throw it all away. It's always a always a failure? Really? No, I do not think remakes or reimaginings are always a failure. But after the information we just got, I do think we need to just leave it alone. We need to take like a 20-year hiatus on the remakes, reimaginings, reboots, prequels, all that stuff. Because we gonna get into because okay, this first topic, this article is pretty much focusing on original content, but it's not just remakes, it's franchises as well. It's capitalizing on a franchise and keeping it going for the 12th and 20th film. So that is in that box of unoriginal content. Remake, reimagining, or my vision movies usually disappoint. See, and then this is why I said, like, even though I'm a fan of remakes and reimaginings, you are setting yourself up for failure out the gate. I feel like if people just hear about a remake, they're gonna already be throwing dirt on it, like before they even see the product. So you're kind of setting yourself up for failure right out the gate. Yeah, it depends on if the studio or the filmmakers do it justice. And that's where it comes into the fact that, of course, in general, movies are subjective. But when you say do something justice, doing it justice for one person may not be doing it justice for another person. Like, I feel like it's a pretty wide received opinion that Dr. Sleep did justice when it comes to The Shining, which is an iconic movie that people would not want you to mess with. But in other cases, it's not always as clear cut. Even though I'm sure every single solitary person didn't love Dr. Sleep, which what's wrong with you if you didn't? But that's one of those movies that is mostly, widely known as having done justice and having the filmmakers actually approach it in the way that audiences, they're coming behind something as iconic as The Shining, which, unpopular opinion, I'm not a fan of The Shining, but most people are. And it is a very iconic, widely loved movie. So coming after something like that, following it up with Dr. Sleep, that is widely held. And that is an unoriginal, right? That's what we're talking about in this article. Dr. Sleep is under the umbrella of unoriginal ideas, but it was widely received in a good way. But then you have other movies that come after something iconic, and it is even though some people may like it, it is mostly widely not very well received and considered like a bomb and didn't do the original justice. So yeah, first of all, we need to just leave them alone for like 30 years, but you do start to tread scary waters when you start getting into messing with films that people love. Let's see. The Thing, the Aliens franchise, Pet Cemetery, no one should be touching those now. If it's something as recent as the X movie and its prequel, Pearl, that's totally different. Yeah, I definitely feel like something like X and a Pearl is different. It's still unoriginal content, like it's still in that umbrella, but it's more of a companion film to me, if that makes sense, because they're coming so close together. And it's not messing with like an iconic, movie from like 30, 20 years ago that people have loved for ages and generations and grew up with, and et cetera, where you have such a tie. Even though X was very well received, it's not in the same category of The Thing or The Shining in the sense of films that people have loved and remained iconic over generations. So I feel like coming behind the X is not the same expectation as coming behind The Shining, in my humble opinion. I cannot believe that no one writer in Hollywood does not have an original screenplay or writing one. I don't think that is, well, when we finna get into that, I don't think it is the fact that no one has an original idea. I think it's the fact that studios are not greenlighting very many original ideas because they want to bank on, like, if you're doing something under a certain umbrella, you can kind of bank on getting that audience, kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's. You're going to get the audience that love the video game. When you talk about Avengers and all those Marvel movies, you're going to get the people that love the franchise. So you're more likely as a studio that, just care about money. Whereas the writer and the director and the artist, they likely, care about money, but are more likely to care about the art. But the studio heads are more likely to care about money. So if you come to a studio and say, hey, we got another Avengers movie, and the last Avengers movie made $1 billion, and then you got another person saying, hey, I got this original script, they're more likely going to bank on the Avengers movie. Same goes for Back to the Future, because that's a classic. Did they remake Back to the Future? I don't think they did. I'm trying to think. I don't think so. Dr. Sleep was great and original while still honoring The Shining, and unlike most, it could stand alone without the history of the film before. And see, that's kind of where a lot of these remakes, prequels, and continuations and franchises and sequels get wrong, is the fact that I think that is what makes Dr. Sleep, or one of the things that makes it so great, is the fact that it can stand alone. For me, it's not an outing that tried to compete with The Shining. They came out, they're a part of that franchise, but it stands alone. It did their own thing. I don't think you need to see The Shining to see and appreciate and understand Dr. Sleep. Like, I feel like they approached Dr. Sleep in such a different way. I think they approached it in a way where they were not just banking on the name of The Shining. Whereas other movies kind of bank on, oh, people are going to come see it because it's Captain America. People are going to come see it because it's Freddy versus Jason, or something along those lines. Like, you're more likely to just bank on the fact that that audience is going to show up to your movie. Don't remake or reimagine poetic justice. Hey, Samantha, thank you for showing up, child. The movie you reviewed the other day about the ship container lost at sea, that is original and sounds good. Yes, that was not a remake or a reboot or part of a franchise. But it also didn't go to theaters. It went to streaming, and we're getting into like how the box office and all that stuff and the movie landscape has changed, where movies that would have went to the theater are now just going to streaming because they don't want to bank on these things at the theater anymore. Yes, creativity is DOA in Hollywood. My short stories are more worthy. Also, don't remake or reimagine The Crow, but that's going to happen. I haven't heard about anybody messing with The Crow. I personally don't think a Crow remake would be a terrible idea, but it just depends on, as we said earlier, if they do it justice. I think The Crow is old enough to where someone can come in, breathe new life into it, have a different, approach to it. But that is something that most people, just if they hear it, they're not going to like, even before they see the movie. I'm done with superhero movies. The Marvels movies aren't doing well, so other moviegoers are tired of them as well. It is so interesting to me with these Marvel movies and all that stuff, because and maybe that's the next thing I'll research, because I am very intrigued. I've seen a lot of people talk about like superhero fatigue or comic book fatigue or whatever with these movies. And it's so crazy how at one point they were like the biggest thing. When did this shift happen? Like, what movie was it? And I gotta be honest, I was kind of confused, because when they had I guess, spoiler warning, if you ain't see it, but I feel like everybody should have heard, because I ain't even see the movie. But didn't they kill off all the Avengers in the last movie, and like Iron Man saved everybody? So confused when they like came back with like Black Panther. Like, didn't he die? Didn't all them Avengers? So was that part of why people are fatigued, because it kind of came to a close, but then they just kept churning out movies? But I'm not a part of that world. I'm not never been a fan of superhero movies. But it is so interesting to me how public opinion has swayed so much, because at one point it was all about Marvel and all those Avengers and all their movies. They were literally dominating the box office, and then all of a sudden the movies are like bombing and not doing like they used to, and people aren't really showing up for them. And even if they just hear another one is coming out, excited. And I'm just like, when did this happen? When did y'all fall out of love with these movies? Because I'm just now trying to jump on the train when y'all done jumped off. Because I have tried to, I got Disney Plus, and I said I want to finally get into the Marvel movies at the point where everybody else is getting out of them, apparently. And I've been watching them out of order. A few of them I do enjoy, but honestly, overall, I don't really see the hype. But then again, I'm not the audience for it. But there are a few of them that I've seen so far that I like. I gotta say, I do be a little confused, but again, I am watching them out of order. So let's see. Where were we at? Y'all, why do I can't? I'll be like, wait, did I read that comment? Okay, here we go. I think that's where we left off at. I be trying not to miss none of y'all comments, but baby, I might. The Marvel movies aren't doing so hot. Disney is dropping the ball with the MCU as of late. Disney owns MCU? I didn't know that. I remember watching Tyra's review of the second Black Panther movie, and that one wasn't hot like the first movie was. Now, I gotta say, as somebody who isn't a fan of the superhero genre in general, I feel like the only superhero movies I ever liked my whole life. Do y'all remember the original? Well, I don't know if it's original, but the original to me X-Men movies with like Halle Berry them. I used to love those X-Men and X2. The Last Stand. I liked all of those movies, and I liked the younger versions of them that came out. Like, I enjoy those. Like, them is my ish. And that old Superman movie where Jesus was playing the Green Goblin, William Dafoe, who I like to call Jesus. I like that movie. Do y'all remember that movie from way back in the day when William Dafoe was the Green Goblin and Kirsten Dunst was in it? I like those, but that's about it. Well, not about it, because I have started to try to watch the new Marvel movies. And like I said, it's a few that I like. I cannot stand Captain America. Oh my God. I cannot stand Captain America. Like, as a character, I just cannot. He is such a goody two shoes. I cannot stand him. But Civil War goes hard. That movie gangster. I love Civil War. Not Civil War. Damn it, that ain't the one. I haven't seen Civil War yet. What's the one I'm thinking of where Samuel Jackson gets attacked in his SUV going down the road, and Captain America best friend killed what is the guy? Iron Man parents or something. It's like, y'all, what movie am I thinking of? Sorry if I'm spoiling it for you. I'm so sorry. But that movie go hard. It's bugging me now. What is the name? It's not Civil War. I haven't seen Civil War. Civil War is the one where they're all fighting each other. I don't know. Somebody tell me in the chat the name of the movie I'm trying to think of. But as I'm going all around, but as somebody who's not a fan, I went to go see the first Black Panther just because I'm that person who's gonna show up to the Black movie to support it. And I wasn't crazy about it, but again, take my opinion with a grain of salt. It's not my cup of tea. But I actually enjoyed it for the most part, and I could see the hype with those movies. However, the Black Panther sequel that I tried to see, I didn't even finish the movie. It was that bad to me. Like, I literally didn't. They went to pick old girl up from college and got attacked by Aquaman. What? Yeah, Aquaman. And then I just turned it off. I would love Lucifer to be a movie. Oh, the TV show Lucifer? Now that's something they need to get into. Okay, leave the reboots and remakes and reimaginings alone. Let's take some of these TV shows and make a movies. First of all, give me My Girlfriend's movie. Give Samantha her Lucifer movie. Like, let's take some TV shows and turn them into movies. Let's do that. Jesus versus Lucifer needs to be like Freddy. Like, y'all, okay, so y'all going too far. Okay, don't get me struck down. I wasn't a fan of Black Panther at all. Either one of them or just the sequel. Well, how many times is someone going to order the meal at a diner? Same with the superhero movies. Now, I'm the wrong person to say that to, because I'm that person that go to the restaurant and order the same thing every single solitary motherfucking time I go. We're getting too many superhero movies in a year. Plus, we have the Disney Plus shows, and things go to streaming so quickly. Then it's like they're not putting as much effort into them. Yeah, you know what? That is true. And now that I think about it, people getting out with these superhero movies could also be this oversaturation of it. Like you said, we have the movies that keep coming out with no real break in between them, and then we also have the superhero TV shows, and things do go to streaming now very quickly, which we're going to get into later, is the change of movie theaters. But that is true. It is the oversaturation that also plays a part in it. I haven't seen any of them, but I know that a lot of people love the first movie. I think it is dead. The writers want more money for less interesting scripts. Oh, hold on now, Shaka Zulu. Okay. We with the writers. And I feel like they was likely turning out dribble because they weren't really getting paid. You know how you got that job where you be like, man, y'all don't pay me enough for this, so you finna like half-ass the job. So maybe we about to get some good stuff if, it ain't up to the writers, honestly. First of all, the studio has to green light the idea, green light the script. And we all know of stuff that be happening behind scenes where like they don't let the director or the writer have their vision. So it's a lot that plays into that. We can't just say the writers are making uninteresting scripts, which, hey, yeah, I be going in on people writing all the time. So yeah, sometimes, they just don't have it. Yes, they were good. The first X-Men movies I was talking about, I like X-Men also. Yes. Okay, so it's not just me. Yes, I remember the X-Men movies. Here you go with that child. OG Spider-Man. Yeah, okay. So see, y'all know what I'm talking about. Tobey Maguire. That's that kid name. Yes, those movies. I like Captain America. You know what the thing is for me? First of all, I just don't get the Chris Evans hype. But also I feel like out of all the characters, first of all, Iron Man is my favorite, likely because I'm sarcastic and his personality just really like I gravitate towards him. But I feel like I'm more entertained by like Samuel Jackson's character. What is his name in the movies? But I feel like Captain America, for me, he is such a goody two shoes. Like he irks my nerves. He just acts so perfect. I don't know. It's just something about his personality that I don't care for. And what's so funny is I used to really like Chris Evans. I was obsessed with Not Another Teen Movie when that came out. That was my ish. And there was a movie Chris Evans played in back in the day when he was like a coked up lawyer. It was based on a true story where this nurse like caught HIV from a patient. Love that movie. And also Street Kings. Y'all, spoiler alert. I gotta remember that I'm not just talking to people, like I'm talking on the internet, and I don't want to spoil nothing for nobody. So spoiler alert, if you have never seen Street Kings, mute your sound for like 10 seconds. But I cried when Chris Evans died in Street Kings. I used to really like Chris Evans, and not how people are like he's so attractive. He's never been attractive to me. Just I don't know, that's me. But he was an actor that I really enjoyed. But for some reason, once I saw him play Captain America, I just never liked him again. And you know what's so funny? I always say I do not trust people whose hands are too clean. So maybe that's also why I don't like Captain America. Like if you ain't got no dirt on your hands, bro, I can't really trust you. Yes, I like that Spider-Man with William Dafoe. Yes. Jesus was Green Goblin, child. Captain Yankee Doodle Dandy. I don't get it. That must be for y'all Marvel folk. I like Suicide Squad and the most recent Joker movie. I still need to see Suicide Squad. I need to see it. It's a whole foray of these movies that I'm trying to get into because I'm late to the party, and I'm just like, you know what? And that's what I do. If I'm not into something, but it gets real hyped up, it'll make me be like, okay, let me go watch it. So at this point, I started this year actually, and through the years, I've seen a few with like people that I hang with who want to see them. Like I saw the first Iron Man when it came out, but I really ain't seen none of the Marvel movies until this year. I started, and I think I've seen 4. I hopped around. I saw the guy in the cape. And then I still haven't seen the first Avengers movie, but I saw Avengers, the last one. And then I jumped and saw the Avengers movie where they find them Russian siblings. Y'all, I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place. Yes, that's the one. The movie that I love is not Captain America Civil War. I haven't seen it. It's Captain America Winter Soldier. That movie is gangster. So far, that's my number one favorite of all these MC. Well, again, I've only seen like 5, but my number one favorite of all these MCU movies so far is Iron Man. I've only seen the first one, but the first Iron Man and Winter Soldier, those are my 2 favorites. And surprisingly, I did really like one of those last Avengers movies, but I honestly don't know which one, because I like saw them out of order. I saw the very last one where everybody died, and then I saw the one before that. One of them I hated, and the other one I loved, and I cannot remember which one. But I was very surprised when I saw one of those last Avengers movies. I just knew I would not like those space people with, Zoe Saldana and Chris Pratt and them. I just knew I wouldn't like them. I actually really liked them. I need to go see their solo movies, but I actually liked them when I was watching them. I was like, I just knew I wouldn't like them, and I did. Yeah, I need to see Suicide Squad. Didn't they do like 2 or 3 of those Suicide Squad movies? I need to sit down and watch it. Yes, give us a girlfriend's movie. I always order beef chow fun. So it's like I literally, y'all, I eat the same. And I'm that person that gets on a kick. So if I have a certain meal and I like it, I'm going to eat it for breakfast, lunch, dinner, every single day for the next month until I'm on another kick. I do that a lot. I get on kicks. I do that a lot. Same thing with WB and DCEU, and that is getting tiresome. Again, y'all, the second I finally tried to foray into this stuff, everybody is getting out. I saw my first DC movie last year, which was the movie with The Rock, and that movie bombed from what I saw and read. And everybody is so, I'm like, why is, y'all, I hopped on the train too late. Give us a Sex in the City 3. Samantha, now I know you playing, girl. They couldn't even get in just like that right. So I know you playing. I hope you're right and we get some better stuff from the writers and studios. Okay, I done got so sorry. Y'all, I love it. Thank y'all for commenting. Keep commenting. But we got off track for a long time. Let's get back into what we have going on. Now, our first foray was, are there actually more remakes, reboots? Are there actually less unoriginal content now than there was before? And yes, we have discovered from our article that we actually have the most or the least unoriginal content ever in cinematic history. So now we are going into, because certain trends lead to certain things. We are now in an age where we have less original content. So let's try to figure out why that is. How much has the box office changed? So let's get back on our, I'm trying to be a good content creator-ish. Let's pull up our next slide, okay? We got us another article, and this one is short. It's shorter than the first one. So we're going to go through and see how much has the box office actually changed. What are the trends that are leading us to a time where we actually have the most, I keep saying the least unoriginal content.
Movie remakes and the film industry. Have you ever wandered into a movie theater, hoping to watch something new and innovative, never seen before? Well, now you can't. Lately, theaters have seen a definite increase in remakes and sequels, and as it turns out, this isn't a new occurrence. Remakes are a part of Hollywood, says Scott McLaughlin, the art of film teacher at Huntington Beach High School. They've been remaking movies since the beginning, it's just now that they're way more frequent. Several original movie posters alongside their remakes. Photography by Tejan Jeffrey. Even cult classics such as Scarface, a 1932 gangster film, The Thing, a 1951 horror movie, and even the beloved Ocean's franchise, a 1960 Rat Pack flick, are testaments to old Hollywood. But why do companies keep remaking films? Why do audiences go see them? And perhaps most importantly, how on earth did Frank Sinatra become George Clooney? The answer to two of those questions is money. You already
When it comes to Hollywood movies, box office, it is always going to come down to money. So, like I said earlier, even when you talk about not having original content, it's not just remakes, it's sequels, it's franchises, because they're banking on the money that the franchise has made. They're banking on that franchise's audience showing up. So, when you're talking about the success of something, you're more likely to think you're going to have success or have money if you say, hey, a billion people showed up to the Avengers, so let's keep churning those out. Why would I turn out something original that's a more of a gamble? Let's bank on the superhero audience to show up.
have an established property that people love. You already have a built-in audience, says McLaughlin, and they keep making money. When audiences are familiar with the story they're about to go see, they're more likely to invest in it. Parents who grew up watching
There are definitely movies that I see just because I could have cared. Like, I went to see Freddy versus Jason because Freddy versus Jason. Like, you don't even know the product you're getting, but you're showing up because of the name, because of the franchise that they are attached to. So you have all these Avengers movies and they break off and they make the separate movies because they're banking on the people who the audience just showing up for all of these little breakoffs.
watching their favorite Disney films are willing to take their children to see a modern remake in hopes of creating similar memories. I think live-action remakes are popular because these original movies are so beloved, says Noella Eaglesea, a senior at Huntington Beach High School who plans on going into the film industry. Nostalgia has become a business strategy in Hollywood. If an old story remastered,
Nostalgia has become a business strategy. It is so crazy to me how much nostalgia we are just throwing into, and not even just movies, like music videos, like style and nostalgia and all this stuff from like the early millennium or the 80s, or you get stuff like Stranger Things, which is a great show in its own right, but you do have a banking on that nostalgia. I mean, they even put a damn 80s song back into like damn rotation, introduced it to a whole new audience, and reintroduced it to the audience that already knows it. Like, nostalgia is definitely a thing that people capitalize on these days.
will make a bit of money, why not keep it around? And keep it around they do. Disney especially has become an expert at churning out remakes ever since the 2010 version of Alice in Wonderland, directed by Tim Burton, proved a huge success, making over $1 billion in the box office. This blockbuster only encouraged the executives, and since then, audiences have seen 21 Disney remakes hit the big screen. Innovative, never seen before?
21 Disney remakes. That is so insane. Come on now, child. Come on now. And now I done messed myself up. Where the hell was I? Okay, we already was there. Y'all, okay. We somewhere around here, child. I don't know.
Live-action remakes are popular because these original movies are so beloved, says Noella Eaglesea, a senior at Huntington Beach High School who plans on going into the film industry. Nostalgia has become a business strategy in Hollywood. If an old story remastered will make a bit of money, why not keep it around? And keep it around they do. Disney especially become an expert at churning ever since the 2010 version of Alice in Wonderland, directed by Tim Burton, proved a huge success, making over $1 billion in the box office. This blockbuster only encouraged the executives, and since then, audiences have seen 21 Disney remakes hit the and little screen. As the introduction of Disney's streaming service, Disney Plus has only allowed for more widespread content among fans and tired parents alike. However, where there's a rise, there must, inevitably, be a fall. It's a blessing and a curse, says Mr. McLaughlin. These big movies are keeping Hollywood afloat, but it's also squeezing creativity. It then becomes a bigger challenge for
Squeezing out the creativity. And it's so crazy how you can have both. Like, you can have your box office success and still churn out originality. But for some reason, we're in a space where we feel like we can only get that success if we push out original ideas and, like, push that to the wayside and just continue churning out the same stuff over and over and over and over again. But they're going to keep churning it out if the audience keeps showing up for it.
Independent filmmakers to get their work out there when the film market is so oversaturated with very much before-seen stories. It begs the question of whether or not remakes are worth it, and the answer isn't so simple. I don't think the people making them are getting anything out of them. It's keeping people employed, says Mr. McLaughlin. It's a double-edged sword, but there has already been a bit of a decline in the popularity of these movies, particularly Disney live-action remakes. The Little Mermaid, starring Halle Bailey, barely broke even earlier this year. And it isn't the first. The 2020 movie Mulan actually lost money, and Dumbo, 2019, wasn't much better. Beyond the finance, many remakes have been met with much critique from fans and non-fans alike.
And I'm very curious. Instead of them churning out Dumbo, Little Mermaid, and all these live action remakes, which have bombed, because typically the success is seen as budget versus growth. How much did you actually get versus how much you spent on the movie? So, what would have happened if instead of them churning out those live action remakes and banking on the name and the history of Mermaid, Aladdin, and all that stuff, what if they would have churned out original content? What would the numbers have looked like? Would people have shown up for that original content since they did not show up for the live action remakes?
Sometimes they're really, really good, says Mr. McLaughlin. Mostly they're not. I think horror movie remakes can be good. He's not wrong. On the whole, horror movie remakes have proved hugely popular among audiences. Dawn of the Dead, 1978, and the subsequent remake in 2004 have inspired sequels and spin-offs galore, including the spoof Shaun of the Dead, 2004, directed by Edgar Wright. History repeats itself, and in the case of Hollywood, filmmakers have continued to be inspired by the past in all sorts of ways, from retellings to reimaginings to remakes. All an audience can do now is sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, y'all. All the unoriginal content. But it is so interesting to me, the fact that horror remakes have more success. And we're gonna get into this later, because also when I'm delving into like the whole rush of remakes we have these days and such, we've learned now we're in a time of the least original content in the history of cinema. We just did our research and learned that. But we also are now going into what is contributing to that. How has the box office changed? And one thing I know has changed before I even did the research, because me and my mom talk about it all the time, is the fact that horror was not as popular of a genre as it is now. Back in the day, I was like horror fan since I was a little kid. Nobody around me was watching horror movies. Nobody. And I remember distinctly when The Ring came out. All of a sudden, my friends who ain't never watched horror in their life was all talking about The Ring. And steadily, as time has passed, more and more people are watching horror movies. It has really become a genre that's not just at the bottom no more. It was never a top genre. And so it's so interesting when we're looking at the trends of cinema and the box office and all this content, that all of this remake content ain't doing so well, except horror remakes. Isn't it crazy how things change? It is. Look, you see how stuff changed? You see how stuff changed? But what is interesting to me is all these like heads of these studios are worried about is box office success. But do audience even care about box office success? Like I always say, I kind of grew up in a bubble when it comes to movies and stuff. Nobody around me was a movie buff outside of my parents. And I wasn't like, I mean, obviously we ain't had the internet when I was growing up, but even when the internet came along, I only just now within the last like 5 years start getting on like the movie side of the internet and Reddit and all the, you know, all that stuff. So in the last 5 years, I've been privy to like the mass audience opinion when it comes to movies. I have been so shocked to learn that a lot of the movies I went to the theater to see growing up and as a teenager that I loved were movies that bombed. I'm like, wait, that movie is classic to me. You mean to tell me it like did terribly? And I'm just like, when it comes to audiences, how much do we even care about box office success? To me, the only box office I care about is my own. Like, as long as I love the movie, I personally don't care how it fared. Like, what one thing we're going to get into is the last 10 years at the box office, 2003 versus 2023. And one thing that was interesting to me when I was looking at that is the fact that in 2003, we had the movie Dreamcatcher come out. I remember seeing that distinctly. Have rewatched it over the years. I love Dreamcatcher. That movie bombed. Does it change the fact that I loved it? No. So I'm just like, the studios are so focused on certain things. And of course, they're going to always want to make money. But I feel like also they may be a little detached from the average moviegoer's experience and what we're looking for and what we want from movies. I had a conversation, and one thing that the movie review YouTubers do that someone was saying, you know, you should, you know, go to try and get certified, you know, like Rotten Tomatoes, like an actual critic. And I feel like for me, that's not anything I want to do. I'm not a critic, I'm a fan. And I feel like for me, there's a distinct difference. And I feel like as a critic, that goes into how I feel about these studios and the decisions they're making. I feel like you're kind of detached from the actual fandom, the actual audience. Because how often do we hear critics rave about something, but then the audience don't like it? Or critics hate something, but the audience loves it. I remember when I was growing up, my mama loved Siskel and Ebert, child. That was the only little opinions I would have known outside of my own was Siskel and Ebert. But do you know how many times I completely disagree with their opinion? So I feel like, no, I'm a fan of movies. I would never classify myself as a critic of movies. And I feel like when we're looking at all this trend of all this like less original content, I really feel like they're Hollywood and all, they're detached from the average audience. They're just like, you know what, the audience showed up for this, so let's pull it out. Not understanding that we on a new wave. We on a new wave. Like we showed up for the Avengers then, but now we on a new wave. Give us something different. Give us something new. That's what we was on then. We on something different now. Let's check the comments and then we are going to continue. Let's see. I always value audience scores over critical reviews. I feel the exact same way. What? You know, that's so and you know, I need to be jotting this stuff down. I did earlier. I said we should explore and do it. The hell if I remember it. I'll just rewatch the live later because I don't even remember what the hell it was. But now I got another idea. Why is it that the audience is always so vastly different from the critic's opinion? And I don't want to hear the paid. I don't really, yes, of course, but I don't really buy that that's the reason that there's such a huge gap, that all the critics just lying and just paid off. Why is it such a gap between the critic's opinion and the fan's opinion? Box office is an indication if people like a movie. Yes, box office is definitely an indication of whether or not people showed up for a movie, like a movie, but how much of that plays a part in how you view in movies? Like if audiences don't show up for a movie, does that affect how you feel about a movie, or if you will watch a movie, or if you saw it, does it affect how you feel if you know that other people did not show up for it? Critics are looking technically while fans are looking for entertainment. That's a good point. But And then that's the other thing. When we talk about a critic versus a fan, I also feel like there's different levels and types of fans. You have casual movie fans, and then you have like the movie buff fans. I think that's a difference. And I personally feel like both fans, the movie buff and the casual moviegoer, are both looking for entertainment. However, I do think that the movie buff fan is also looking at a technical aspect as well. I don't think it's only entertainment for the movie buff, but that is a good point. Critics are looking for the free access to see the movie. Let me tell you, child. I meant everything I just said. I would never want to be a critic. I'm a fan. However, baby, if you want to invite me out to go see to the premiere, I will be there to go watch it. So I ain't mad at the critics for wanting free access to go see the movie, okay? Let me tell you, if I could go to the premiere of like a Will Smith movie, baby, let me just be next to Will Smith. I have loved Will Smith since the 90s. Let me go to the premiere and just see Will Smith. Okay, let me breathe his air. So I ain't mad at your critics for wanting that. Hey, y'all, just got home and settling in for the night. Thank you for stopping through, Danny. YouTube Clownfish TV and just my opinion care about the box office numbers. I'm on and off with caring about the box office because it's like a sport stat line. And that's why I'm like really interested, like as an audience, how much do you care about the box office? Just my singular experience, I don't care at all about the box office, but I also feel like I'm not sure, but maybe I had a less traditional upbringing when it comes to movies. Like I said, I don't even really know casual movie fans much. Like people around me just were never just into movies. I kind of just had a singular experience with movies. I wasn't on message boards, and like I was kind of in a bubble, like I said, when it comes to movies. So I just always grew up with just how I experienced a movie. And only within the last 5 years is when I get into like I will see like how much a movie made or what like people on the internet are saying about a movie, et cetera, et cetera. I still really don't know any people that are into movies in real life. Like still, I don't know what's wrong with the people around me. One of my homegirls who I've known since 9th grade does not even have a TV in her house. She does not even watch TV. I just be like, what the hell do you do with your life? Like, how are you not watching movies and TV shows? Like, she literally, and not one of those people that don't have a TV in their house because they like watch movies and TV on their laptop. She does not watch movies and stuff. And so I feel like I may have just, I don't know, let me know. But I feel like maybe I just have like a very odd experience when it comes to that. So maybe that contributes to why I just don't care about box office numbers because I have just lived the life of just kind of I never really know how stuff do. I just know there is a movie by Sylvester Stallone called Daylight from the 90s. Do y'all know that movie? Love that movie. It is one of my favorite childhood movies. I still love it to this day. I have seen that movie 1,000 freaking times. Like I am obsessed. I have no idea how that movie did. I have no idea if it was a hit. I have no idea if people love it. I have no idea if people hate it, if people consider it a crappy movie. I have no idea. I just know I remember going to see it as a kid. I remember we had it on VHS and I still watch it to this day. I have no idea how it was received. None. And that is just how I feel about movies in general. And I also feel like now in the last 5 years when I get more privy to like a box office and how other fans feel, baby, either I got terrible taste or everybody else got terrible taste. Because the movies that people rave about, I don't like. And the movies I love, people think are terrible. So I really just don't equate how other people feel into what I feel about a movie. And as I always say, that's the beauty of movies. We can all watch the same exact thing and walk away with a completely different experience with it. Critics look for qualities beyond sheer entertainment value. A movie can have great cinematography and a rich storyline, but still be boring as hell. 100%. 100%. I completely agree. Your homegirl is crazy. She really is. Okay. I'm glad she don't watch my YouTube channel because she don't know I'm talking about her. She probably reads a lot, listens to music. She definitely is a music whore. She listens to music psychotically. I saw Daylight. It's okay. See what I mean? So let's say Daylight came out right now, right? And I absolutely love it. And you're like, I was meh. So it doesn't do well at the box office, right? Does that play a part in how you're going to feel about the movie? You like Die Hard, it is a Christmas movie. I love Die Hard. I love Bruce Willis. You weren't around on my channel at the time, and anyone else who wasn't. When I did my 100 favorite movies of the 90s, the actor that showed up the most on that list is Bruce Willis. Baby was churning out them hits. Bruce Willis was working. Have you seen It Lives Inside? I have not seen it yet. On my list was When Evil Lurks, Where Evil Lurks. I can't think of the exact title, and It Lives Inside. I only just was able to see When Evil Lurks, and I still need to see It Lives Inside. I look at movies this way. Superhero movies, horror, and action movies are in the same category. They're going to be unbelievable, so entertain me, and I'm happy. Drama and thriller have to make sense. Laundry Day. And see, that's the thing when we talk about should audiences care about box office. Yes, box office equates to who is showing up for the movie, right? But we're all looking for different things in a movie. First of all, I have always had this thing where I don't, as much as I literally grew up in the movie theater. It was a tradition when I was a kid that we spent the holiday at the movie theater. And when I say spent, I mean from sun up to sundown. We were at the movie theater all day, watching multiple movies, 3-4 movies. And I remember growing up and trying to like, hey, you want to go see 3-4 movies? People would be looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, what would I be in a movie theater for? It is so insane. But I feel like you're looking at, okay, superhero, horror, action, just entertain me. You're going to something implausible, so at least be fun, right? And my thing with movies for me is escapism and it's entertainment. I don't want to see anything that really feels like true to life, if that makes sense. Like, I do not watch movies that are sad. I do not watch movies that are depressing. Like, I saw The Pianist 100 years ago and I said, baby, never again. That ish was sad. I was like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see people suffer on screen that I know suffered in real life. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So I'm not that person that's going to see a movie like For Colored Girls and say, oh, that was a great movie. No, that wasn't fun. I want to see this. Like, that's not entertaining. So that's also the thing where what type of audience is it? That audience may not mirror the type of audience you are. So why do we put stock in the box office where we're all a completely different audience? And also, box office shows you who shows up for the movie, but I have always been the type of person, I'm not going to the movie theater for every single movie I want to see. There are certain movies that I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see that. I got to see it. The second it come out, I'm at the theater. But then other movies, I'm like, yeah, I want to see that, but nah, I'll see it when it's on video. So just because I didn't show up to the box office doesn't mean I don't like the movie or want to see the movie. It just wasn't worth it for me to show up at the box office, which again, I guess you could say plays into, the cachet of the movie if someone isn't willing to go to the theater and shell that money out. Okay, I'm gonna get into a few more comments, and then we are going to go into our next topic. Let's see. Speaking of music and critics, some critics are going hard against the new Dolly Parton album. I don't think it's bad, but it brings attention to the critic to go hard against Dolly. Yeah, that's something, again, movies and music. Like, I feel like I don't think I ever really agree with there are albums that I absolutely freaking love that ain't do so well. And I'd be so confused why I didn't do well. Like, I love it. But there is always going to be, in my opinion, a disconnect between the critic and the fan. And also, like I said, all fans aren't equal. You have the casual movie fan and the movie buff fan. And I think there is a I guess I won't say disconnect, but there is a difference between those two types of fans. I believe that the current box office is not doing so well right now I believe that the box office isn't doing so well right now because of the holiday season. Okay, so we finna skip ahead a little bit because y'all know I was trying to be organized. So I got my little stuff over here of how we're going to hit topics. But since you just said that, we're going to go into, is the theater experience dead? Movies are not making the money they used to. And TG, I don't think it's the holiday season. The decline started with the pandemic. All the movies, I still remember that year so precisely. That was the year Dr. Sleep came out. That was the year The Hunt came out. That was the year that John David Washington movie, Chris Nolan movie came out, and all that stuff went straight to streaming. Now, theaters have declined, and it's a mixture. The pandemic hit, stuff went to streaming, but also when the pandemic hit, prices started going up. Like the cost of living changed for people. So something like a movie theater, that's a luxury. That's not something that people, when you talk about how high groceries are and how high rent has, skyrocketed, the movie theater ain't something that a lot of people can fit into their budget, right? But then when I think about, is the theater experience dead? I don't know. What's y'all opinion? Because for me, I personally feel like, and I know it's probably crazy to say as such a movie buff and someone who literally spent their childhood in the movie theater, spent my childhood in the movie theater. The movie theater experience has been dead for me for the last 6 years. Way before the pandemic. First of all, I feel like with technology, you can have surround sound at home. You can have a big screen at home. We have the technology to have a movie theater experience at home. Also, I'm such a homebody, and I wasn't always such a homebody. For some reason, as I've gotten older, I've become more of a homebody. A lot of times, I'm like, I don't even want to be around people. Like, I don't want to go to the theater. I don't want to be around people. I just started going back to the theater when I started my YouTube channel. I did not go to the theater. Every movie, no matter how badly I wanted to see it, I would literally just be like, I'll wait for streaming. I'll sit at home. I don't want to go. I want to be in the comfort of my home. I want to be on my nice sectional with my cocktail, doing, eating how I want to eat, drinking how I want to drink, in the comfort of my home. So for me, with technology, with how the world is set up nowadays, the movie theater experience is overrated for me. Anytime I see the little things that pop up at the movies that are like, if you're looking at a movie on this screen, movies are meant to be experienced. I've been saying, like, this is such propaganda. Like, first of all, not everybody has the financial luxury to see a movie on the big screen. So I don't like that whole movies are meant to be experienced XYZ. I just don't like that. I feel like it alienates a certain class of the movie audience, but also I have a pretty big TV. And my mama TV is even bigger than mine, and I got a pretty big damn TV. Like, her TV is so big, I don't even want to watch stuff on her. I'm like, your TV too damn big. Like, this is not a movie theater. Why the hell is your TV screen that big? Like, you can literally, for me, have that pristine picture, and people want to go to IMAX and tallest theater. I don't care about that stuff. Not the tallest theater, child. The tallest movie screen and all that stuff. I don't care about that stuff. Like a nice TV at home that's big and that got surround sound, and I think that's good enough. And I also feel like when they released those new movies to streaming during the pandemic, when the movies and all that stuff was closed down, I feel like they hurt themselves. Because baby, I was like, baby, release everything on streaming. Like I want everything to go to streaming. I really feel like I wish they would just simultaneously release everything at the theater and on streaming at the same time so people could choose how they want to see it. However, we know they make more money at the box office than they do streaming, even though them new movies be on streaming for like $19.99. That's a lot of motherfucking movie. I mean, a lot of money. But when you think about a movie ticket, I could rent the new release for $19.99 and 10 of us could watch it. But if 10 of us go to the movie theater, you're going to shell out a lot more money than that. So this whole cash grab that they're doing where we are seeing the least amount of original content, I do feel like that whole theater is dying thing plays a part. Like they're trying their best to get people into the theater. It's not just money the studios make, it's money the movie theater makes. You buy a ticket, you buy snacks, it's a whole thing with that. So of course they're going to be banking on remakes and franchises that already have an audience over trying to gamble on new and original content that you don't know if people are going to show up for, but you're going to bank that, oh, this audience showed up for this franchise, so let's just churn out another one. I worry about terrorist attacks at movie theaters too. That's another thing when we talk about, is the movie theater experience dead? Of course, we know we had that situation when The Dark Knight came out. Of course, we know we have mass shootings. Of course, we know we have all kind of stuff going on these days. So how safe does the public feel going to the movie theater? At least my neighborhood theater that I go to, there's really no security. You can walk in there with any damn thing. I mean, like you legitimately can. And the only reason, like I literally, like I said, just don't care about the movie theater for the last like 6 years. When I started my channel 2 years ago, that was when I first started going back to the movie theater to cover, of course, new stuff for my channel. That is literally the only reason I go to the movie theater. And the only reason the experience hasn't been terrible is because my movie theater is literally always empty. A lot of times it's just me and the person I'm with in the movie theater, literally. Or it's one person in there. My theater is literally a ghost town. So that makes my experience more enjoyable. I mean, it does. You lucky my mom fighting me right now, or your thumb be. That is my mother's account. So I'm assuming that is my little sister trying to bother me. Also, when they release movie trailers, they tell the whole movie and make me not want to go to the movies to see it. That's another thing. And if you have been on my channel for any amount of time, you know I do not watch movie trailers. I don't. Because they literally will give you the beginning, the middle, the climax, the third act reveal. They will give you the entire movie in the trailer. I remember going to see the new Mission Impossible movie this year. And it was a certain stunt that I loved when he was on that motorbike flying across the damn mountains in the sky, whatever the hell Tom Cruise was doing, child, because we know he ain't human. I don't know what he be doing. And when I saw what people were saying about the movie, a lot of people felt like that scene did not have the impact it should have because everybody saw it in the preview. It had an impact with me because, baby, I didn't see it in the trailer because I didn't watch the trailer. And that is the thing. Remember when Megan came out and I didn't see the trailer for Megan, but I did see the clip of that dog dancing. It was everywhere on the internet. So when I finally saw the movie, I did feel like, this it? Like, that's all y'all got? It certain scenes lose a certain impact if it's not in the realm of the movie. Like if it's not a surprise to suddenly see like, oh shoot, if you've already seen a certain image, sometimes it can lessen the entertaining factor of it or the shock value of it or the awe of it when you've already seen it. So yeah, that adds on to it. But baby, don't watch previews. I'm telling y'all, my number one thing that I always tell people is go into a movie as blind as possible. I don't watch previews, but I will read a synopsis. However, sometimes I don't even do that. When I just saw When Evil Lurks for the first time, I had no idea what that movie was about. I saw the title, I saw the movie poster, and I saw the genre. That was it. And I just watched the movie. And a lot of times I will do that as well. I won't just not watch the preview. I don't even want to read the tagline. I don't even want to read this. I just tell me the genre and the title. And when I see the cover art, I'll decide if I want to see it or not. I really feel like the best movie experiences, particularly nowadays when people give all the spoilers online and when the trailer give everything away, I really feel like the best movie experiences are when you go in as blind as possible. And what also helps that to be a good movie experience is you have no expectations. You have no idea what it's about. You have like you there's just no expectation. And also everything gets to be revealed along the way in the actual way that the story should be consumed, in my opinion. I wish they would apply that same logic to TV series. Exactly. And I don't want other people. Oh, baby. I was just talking to my aunt about this. Now, I haven't worked in the office in a really long time. I was working remotely since before the pandemic. And when I was working in the office, my coworkers used to always call me a germaphobe. And what's so crazy now, I'm not a germaphobe just in general, but I'm a germaphobe when it comes to other people's germs. Like it creeps me out. It makes my skin crawl. I was so freaked out when the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden the stores are like, we're going to start disinfecting. Nigga, y'all wasn't disinfecting this before. Like, why did it take the pandemic for y'all niggas to start cleaning? Like, yeah, like I am so disturbed, disgusted. And pro tip, if you rent, always ask for a brand new toilet seat. I don't care how much you clean, disinfect, ask for a brand new toilet seat. Anytime I move into a place, I always, even if they, of course, when you move in someplace, they have their cleaners. No, that's not enough. You got to make, like, I don't know, you feel better if you know you cleaned it. Yeah. And that's the thing. When you go out in public, you have no idea how people carry themselves. People will just cough and touch all kind of stuff on their body and then touch all kind. It is, y'all, I'd be disgusted. I'd be disgusted. Yeah. And that's what I was kind of encapsulated when I said sometimes I just don't want to be around people. Sometimes I just want to be in the comfort of my home with the germs I know. I go earlier in the day, less people, plus I'm old. You know what? That could play a part in why my movie theater is always empty. I always go during the day. I always go in the day. I haven't gone to a movie at night in years. They need to add security at movie theaters, but that would be expensive. Baby, the day they add security at the movie theater is the day your popcorn gonna be $50.99. Okay. I love movie trailers. And you know what could play a part in that? I'm one of those people. I am a stickler when it comes to spoilers. Y'all know that episode of Seinfeld when George takes his parents to go meet his fiance's parents, and they're talking about a movie, and his dad is like, I don't want to hear no, I haven't seen it. And the other guy's like, that's not a part of the plot. And Frank is like, I want to go in fresh. I'm the same way. I want to go in fresh. Don't even tell me how somebody's hair is styled in the movie. Don't tell me what color shirt. I don't want to know any. I am such a stickler when it comes to spoilers. Everybody isn't like that. It is so crazy to me when somebody will watch my spoiler-filled review, like, oh, I'm going to go watch the movie. Why the hell you just sat here and let me spoil it? But some people, that doesn't ruin their experience. It doesn't matter for them. They're fine. Like, so if you're one of those people, I can imagine you likely do love watching movie trailers, and not only love watching movie trailers, but watching the trailer may not ruin your experience of it. Last movie I saw, Sound of Freedom, and two women smuggled in potato chips, and they were loud. See, if you was at home, in the comfort of your home, you wouldn't have to deal with that. That's why for me, I say, oh, shoot, my little thing moved. Is the theater experience dead? Oh, it moved because if I put a comment up, then it moves. Oh, okay. Y'all, look, we figuring this thing out. Lots of men don't wash their hands after going to pee. Don't even get me started on that. We about to go off on a whole nother thing. We need to get back to the topic. But ever since I was a child, I do not shake hands. I feel like shaking hands is so barbaric. Why are we still shaking hands? Literally. Why, when you greet people, do you need to touch them? It sickens me. It makes my skin crawl. I hate shaking hands. Don't shake my motherfucking hand. And what's so crazy to me is people get so offended that I say, and I really try to just, to me, I'm just being normal. Someone reaches their hand out, I'm like, oh, I don't shake hands. Nice to meet you. Like, I'm being pleasant, and they will get so offended. Why are you offended? No, we're not shaking hands. Do you know you spread more germs shaking hands than you do kissing someone? Shaking hands is disgusting. Al Pacino's hair is bald in the latest movie. Al Pacino is the love of my life. No Al Pacino slander will be tolerated on the channel, okay? When I was 19, I got Al Pacino's name tattooed on my wrist. Al Pacino is the love of my life, and no slander shall prosper. My people, I disinfect my shopping carts, don't touch buttons with my bare hands, give strangers the stink eye when they cough around me, all that. I keep sanitizer on me always. Yes, the true germaphobe's been, we ain't new to this, we true to this. We've been doing this since before the pandemic, okay? Movie trailers used to actually hide things instead of telling you what the whole movie is about. Yes, because that's the thing. I feel like there's an art to a movie trailer. You reveal just enough and you hold back just enough. You keep the audience intrigued, but you don't give everything away. It's like people don't know how to do that. Okay, I'm gonna do one more comment and then we're gonna get back on topic. I wear a mask around outside and stores in the fall and winter because I don't want to get sick, so I feel you. I'm a big baby when it comes to getting sick. Yeah, I don't play no games about getting sick. Like, I don't. I will never forget this one job I had. We worked in like this little glass, we used to call it a bubble. It was like a little glass enclosed room. And you know, when cold and flu season come, everybody gets sick, baby. Do you know I walked up in there with my whole face covered the hell up? I was not playing no games with the motherfucking people. Okay, let's get back on topic. So we started off with, are there actually more remakes now than ever before? Or are audiences just being over dramatic? And we learned from our article, from our research, that yes, this is actually a time of the least amount of original content in cinematic history. We saw the chart show us that remakes have literally tripled over the last 30 years. Of course, remakes have always been a thing, but we are in a time where we are seeing the least amount of original content. So what leads us to that is, how has the box office changed over the last 10 years? Over the last, time, how has the box office changed that is leading the charge for these studio heads and everything to say, you know what? We're trying to make money, so let's bank on things that we know the audience has shown up for. Let's see, what slide? Okay, I'm getting confused. What slide are we on? Here we go. I think this is it.
Versus 2023 box office. 10 changes over the past 20 years. The 2023 box office looks very different compared to the 2003 box office, as there have been some major changes to Hollywood over the past 20 years. Summary. The box office has evolved in the last 20 years, with increased discussions on movie performance and audience interest. Franchises have remained popular throughout the decades, but there have been changes in genres and movie popularity. The normalization of billion-dollar movies started in 2003, but their occurrence has become rarer in 2023 due to the post-pandemic strain. Disney's box office dominance has also faltered in recent years. The box office has changed drastically over the last 20 years, and a direct comparison of the 2003 movies and 2023 movies reveals some fascinating insights about Hollywood's past, present, and future. How well a movie performs at the box office has always been an important part of the narrative behind whether a film is successful. The discussion around box office results has evolved a lot during the last 2 decades. Instead of audiences not having much of an invested interest in whether a movie was going to be a hit or a flop, there are now increased discussions on a weekly basis about how various theatrically released movies perform.
And see, that plays into what we were talking about when it comes to, do audiences care about box office success? So it has been proven and shown that yes, audiences care about box office success. And I think that rise is due to social media.
There are still some similarities between the box office in 2003 and 2023, though. Some of the same franchises are still finding success, but others, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, had yet to even begin. The same is true of franchises, as their popularity is one constant between the 2 decades of Hollywood's history. But, there are various genres that have fallen to the wayside or risen in popularity during that same time. The result of the many changes that have come to Hollywood, audience viewing habits, and box office discussions make the comparison between 2003 and 2023 illuminating. 11 2003's 10 highest grossing movies versus 2023's 10 highest grossing movies. Lord of the Rings won 2023.
That's supposed to be 2003. So when we're looking at the trend of the box office over the last 10 years, when we talk about the top 10 highest grossing movies of 2003 versus the top 10 highest grossing movies of 2023, we're getting into the trends of movies, of box office, of audiences, and trends lead to the type of movie studios are putting out. So these trends are telling us why Hollywood is churning out less original content. In 2003, the top grossing movie of that year was The Lord of the Rings. In 2023, the top grossing movie is Barbie.
And Barbie won 2023. 2003's top 10 highest grossing movies are almost all known as being successful in some regard. The Lord of the Rings franchise led the way in that regard, as The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King finished the year as the highest grossing release.
Y'all, I have still never seen The Lord of the Rings. That's on the agenda. I do plan to see it one day.
Its greatest competition came from the newest Pixar animated movie at the time, the dual threat of The Matrix's sequels, and multiple other sequels. There was also a comedy, a new Disney franchise starter, and the newest Tom Cruise movie. The list of 2003's 10 highest grossing movies is below.
So we're getting into the trend of what were the top 10 highest grossing movies in 2003 versus the top 10 highest grossing movies of 2023. And y'all, we got some interesting stuff when it comes to what we have seen in the box office over the last 10 years. Now, the top 10 highest grossing movies of 2003, that's box office worldwide, not just US. Number 1, The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. $1 billion. Finding Nemo at 871 million. The Matrix Reloaded, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, Bruce Almighty, The Last Samurai, Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, The Matrix Revolutions, X2, and number 10 is Bad Boys 2 at 273 million. So when we look at that and we see what type of remakes, franchises, sequels, unoriginal content we had compared to the 2023 box office. Now, I'm going to skip ahead a bit because she's just going to read y'all what I just said with the top 10. Then what's the second part? And then that's the 2023. So, hold on. In 2023, our top 10 highest grossest movies of the box office worldwide, number 1 is Barbie, 1 billion. Number 2 is Super Mario Brothers, 1.3 billion. Barbie is 1.4 billion. Baby, y'all really showed up for Super Mario Brothers. God damn, how that movie made $1 billion. Number 3 is Oppenheimer, 948 million. Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3, Fast X, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, The Little Mermaid, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Elemental. What is Elemental? I feel like I never heard of that. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantum Mania. So now when we're looking at how these trends have changed, franchises, sequels, remakes, unoriginal content, 2023 box office versus 2003 box office. Okay, let me see where we at. That's our little chart. I just read y'all that.
Amount of superhero movies in the top 10.
Okay, we went a little too far.
$711,549. 10. Bad Boys 2. $273,339,556. Show less. Fast forward 20 years and the list of 2023's highest grossing movies so far looks both similar and different. Pixar and Disney remain part of the equation, although it is Barbie who leads the way at the worldwide box office. There is also a noticeably larger amount of superhero movies in the top 10, as 3 Marvel movies are on the list, whereas only 1 was in 2003.
So in 2003, we only had 1 superhero movie in the top 10 versus now.
Surprisingly, 2023 only has 1 more movie connected to an existing IP or franchise than there was in 2003 among the biggest movies of the year.
So the trend of sequels and franchises hasn't changed much. We still had a lot of sequels in the box office top 10 years ago, the same as we do now.
The list of 2023's 10 highest grossing movies.
Okay, that's what I just read y'all for 2023. That's just the 2023 chart of those highest grossing movies. Let's see.
7. The Little Mermaid.
Oh, she's still reading the chart. Hold on now, y'all.
$476,071,180. Show less. 10 $1 billion movies became the norm, and then less common again. Over 50 movies have made $1 billion since 2003. The normalization of $1 billion movies is one of the biggest changes to come to the box office over the last 20 years.
One of the biggest changes to come to the box office in the last 20 years is the normalization of $1 billion movies. So when we talk about the fact that we are in a time where we have the least amount of original content, is no surprise that we're in that time when the $1 billion movie goal started to become the norm. If you're trying to chase $1 billion, are you going to bank on a movie that you know audiences have shown up for before, or are you going to bank on a new, fresh idea? You're trying to chase $1 billion.
Return of the King was the only billion-dollar movie released in 2003, and it was also only the second movie to ever accomplish that feat instead of.
So in 2003, The Lord of the Rings was the only movie that year to gross $1 billion and only the second movie in history to gross $1 billion.
Of the $1 billion mark remaining a rarity for movies to hit, it became the figure that Hollywood chased for the last 2 decades. There are now 53 movies that have eclipsed that milestone and found a place in the highest grossing movies of all time. That's an average of roughly $2 billion movies released every year. The expectancy for this level of success did not truly take off until 2008, as 2006's Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest was the first $1 billion movie since Return of the King. A massive trend started with The Dark Knight's box office success and Christopher Nolan's movie surpassing the impressive threshold. From 2008 to 2019, at least one $1 billion movie was released for 12 consecutive years. The trend ended in incredible fashion as 2019 easily broke a record with 9 movies released that year making more than $1 billion.
So we go from 2003, The Lord of the Rings being only the second movie in history to gross $1 billion, till we got like 9, 10 movies grossing $1 billion in a year. So is it really surprising that the trend of the box office has become a time where we have the least original content in cinematic history. That's not surprising to me when now we are chasing $1 billion as not the rarity anymore, but the norm.
This included Avengers Endgame's box office, temporarily allowing it to become the highest grossing movie of all time.
So basically, all y'all who went to support the Avengers, you ruined cinema.
Billion-dollar movies are now a much rarer accomplishment in 2023, similar to how it was in 2003.
Now, do you see how this works? In 2003, $1 billion gross was a rarity. Then we started chasing it and it became the norm. But as we chased it, we started to bank on not doing and producing original content. So now that we have flooded and oversaturated the market, banking on franchises, remakes, sequels, we are now in the trend in 2003 where grossing $1 billion is now the rarity again. When you try to chase a thing, it just keeps running from you.
There have been 6 $1 billion movies released since 2020, but there are only 2 in 2023, Barbie and the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
So we got this trend that we just explored over the last 10 years. And the way it changed, and we know everything ebbs and flows, we are now hitting the mark where 10 years after only having one movie gross $1 billion, now we're back at only having 2. After we had 9, 10, 800 grossing it, now we're back to that rarity. That's not shocking when you're just continuing to bank on not producing original content.
Whereas it started to seem easy for movies' box office totals to eclipse 9 figures, the post-pandemic strain is still very real, even if there have been massive successes along the way.
So when we talk about the fact that there is a decline in the monetary success of these movies, do you feel like the decline is because as an audience, you're burnt out on this oversaturation of unoriginal content? Or is it because as an audience, you are facing a post-pandemic strain? I personally feel like it is a mix of both. Like I said earlier, going to the movies in a time where groceries are at a high, rent is at a high, the economy is in a certain, the cost of living, going to the movies is a luxury that not everybody can afford, that maybe in 2003 more people could afford that luxury. Like I said, I spent my childhood at the movie theater and my mama was just a regular working class American single parent, and we were always at the movie theater. So I think it's a mixture of both. I do think the audience is fatigued off of all of this unoriginal content, especially like we talked about earlier, how the people who are showing up for these superhero movies are now just over it. But it's also the strain of where people are at financially in a post-pandemic world.
The real question is whether this will continue to be the case, or if box office totals will return to pre-2019 levels as Hollywood seemingly enters a period of normalcy with no pandemics or strikes forcing major delays. 9. The rise and fall of...
So guys, the strike is over. We're in a post-pandemic time. Obviously, movie theaters are open. The world is open. Do you feel like we are going to get back to the height of the box office where they can make these $1 billion? Or do you think it will just continue to decline if they are not producing original content?
Disney's box office dominance. Disney's box office reign increased through franchises and acquisitions. Disney is undoubtedly one of the biggest box office winners when it comes to the last 20 years. In 2003, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl was the only Disney movie in the top 10.
I have still never seen Pirates of the Caribbean, but that is so interesting. Disney only had one movie in the top 10 at that time. And I'm not really one for Disney movies, even when I was a kid, but my perception is Disney pretty much always dominates. Like, people love Disney movies.
Studio has since become a perennial contender to release the biggest movie of the year and is often seen dominating the top 10 standings worldwide. This has come through a refinement of Disney's approach to theatrically released movies, focusing even more on animated movies, live-action remakes, and theme park ride adaptations. Finding Nemo was not a Disney release, as the studio did not acquire Pixar until 2006. However, the studio has also received a massive boost through its acquisitions of Pixar, Lucasfilm, Marvel Studios, and 20th Century during this time. Pixar's animated movies became even bigger box office hits under Disney, while the studio helped relaunch Star Wars to great financial success in 2015. Furthermore, Disney has ridden the wave of success that Marvel Studios experienced in Phase 2 and Phase 3, allowing it to repeatedly boast of its box office dominance. The result is Disney having 4 of the top 10 highest-grossing movies in 2023.
So Disney has gone from having only one movie in the top 10 as the highest grossing films to having 3 in the top 10. And it sounds to me like whoever running Disney has some good business sense. Because like we just read or heard, it was through different avenues, but also acquisitions.
The success that Disney experienced for much of the 2010s has now started to falter, though. The MCU is no longer making guaranteed box office hits, as seen with the struggle.
And see, when we get into these trends that we're talking about, you keep banking on something, but how many times can you milk the same cow? You know what I mean? Like metaphorically, because, of course I'm vegan, but y'all get what I'm trying to say to y'all.
The franchise has had post-Avengers Endgame. Meanwhile, Pixar has found its own troubling run with very little success, and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is guaranteed to be among the biggest flops of the year.
So, Indiana Jones, one of the most celebrated, iconic franchises that you would think if you bank on that name of Indiana Jones and bank on the name of Harrison Ford, you would think that is going to guarantee your financial return. It didn't. So what is it going to take for the studios, who we know no matter what is going to chase profit? What is it going to take for them to realize you have to listen to the audience? And I do feel like it's a mixture. I do feel like if you are a musician, if you are, someone who does the art of movies, it's a mix of, you don't necessarily let the audience tell you what they want. You have to kind of tell the audience what they want, but at the same time, you do have to let the audience tell you. Because if you keep trying to shove something down the audience's throat that they are just not swallowing, you need to listen to that. like I said, I even just noticed a shift in as a person who has never been a fan of comic book and superhero. That's all the people be talking about. Like, people be obsessed. And the second, like I said, that I'm suddenly trying to get into it, all of a sudden people jumping off the train. And it's a reason for that. It's oversaturation. It's a fatigue. And I do think it does not matter how much you love a thing. It doesn't matter how much you may be a fan of a franchise. You want original content. Like, you don't want to just keep seeing that franchise continue over and over again, especially when they're not even really putting heart into it. Like, you're not breathing new life into the franchise and giving the fans something that resembles why they fell in love with the franchise in the first place. You're just regurgitating and just quickly churning out something, banking on that audience continuing to show up. But how long are we as the audience going to continue to show up and show the movie theaters and these, studios, not the movie theater, child, the studios, that they can continue banking off of us showing up off of a franchise, off of a name, off of a remake? They're banking on certain things because we as an audience keep showing up. But we are now seeing a trend where suddenly these movies that they have been able to bank on, because audiences have shown up for all the Marvel movies, audiences have shown up for all the sequels and requels and threequels and reimaginings. Now they can't bank on it. Now audiences are just starting to not show up for these things.
Even the live-action remakes are not performing as well as expected anymore, forcing the studio to reconfigure its strategy and avoid falling back to its standing in 2003. 8 franchises were already king in 2003, but even more so in 2023. IP is the key to box office success. The 2003 box office is a prime example of just how dominant franchises are in Hollywood. The top 10 movies that year included 5 sequels to existing franchises, as well as 3 movies that became the first installments of an ongoing series. The reliance on
I feel like no matter what, you can bank on franchises. Franchises will not die. Like I said earlier, I as a fan of remakes, as somebody who isn't always against remakes and have a lot of remakes that I either prefer over the original or it just enjoy with the original, I feel like we need to stop making remakes for like the next 30 years, child. However, I do not think we are ever going to see a hiatus in franchises. And I don't think we need to. However, we do need to stop just keep banking on franchises like okay, see, not like Mission Impossible, okay, because my babies is still doing their thing, but stuff like Fast and the Furious, which is a franchise that as much as people dog it out, I love that franchise. I enjoy that franchise. But honestly, I'm over it. Like I really am. So I do think when it comes to these franchises that audiences have been showing up to for 20 and 30 years, when you talk about Indiana Jones not getting the success they expected, Fast and the Furious didn't get the success they expected. Like they keep banking on franchises that, like I said, you've milked to death. And I do feel franchises will never die and should never die. Scream has hit peak success, and that is a franchise that has been around since the 90s. But Scream isn't, in my opinion, one of those franchises that feels like they just keep milking it and are literally just churning out something just to churn it out. So it's a fine line to walk. I don't think franchises should or will die, but I do think that audiences are sick of franchises that have been milked to death.
franchises extended beyond the list of highest-grossing movies. Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle, Too Fast, Too Furious, American Wedding, Scary Movie 3, Spy Kids 3, Game Over, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life, The Jungle Book 2, Legally Blonde 2, Red, White and Blonde, Freddy vs. Jason, and The Texas Chainsaw Massacre all made over 100.
So even in 2003 versus 2023, we still saw a lot of studios banking on franchises in 2003. Even though we had more original content at that time than we do now, audiences were still showing up for sequels, and box office and studios were still banking on people showing up for sequels. That is and will always be lucrative, but that we ain't showing up for the ones that y'all done milked to death.
$100 million worldwide. The reliance on franchises has only grown over the last 20 years, with almost every movie seemingly having some connection to an existing franchise or well-known IP of some kind. There are well over 40 movies released in 2023 that have some type of IP connection. These
40 movies
range from direct sequels of continuing franchises, remakes like The Little Mermaid, video game adaptations like Five Nights at Freddy's, and movies based on popular toys, like Barbie. The dependence on IP has certainly increased, but their success rate is not any better than before, as some of these franchise plays are among 2023's biggest box office bombs.
So even though historically franchises are something that these studios can bank on, we're in a time where they're bombing. Even the most like celebrated and the things that you think people are going to show up for, they're not showing up for. Because I genuinely am, and I'm not a fan of Indiana Jones. I only ever saw the one with Shia LaBeouf. But I am genuinely shocked that people did not show up for Indiana Jones, because that is one of the most well-loved and celebrated franchises. And even with people being fatigued on all of this, churning out the same stuff, I am genuinely shocked that that movie bombed.
7 comedies had a much better chance of box office success in 2003.
So when we talk about the trends of the box office and movies, we also have to get into, and we're talking about the type of movies we're seeing, comedy had a much higher chance of success at the box office 10 years ago in 2003 versus 2023. So we have to think about, okay, so when we're talking about what studios are banking on, what audiences are showing up for, why is it that audiences are not showing up for comedy in 2003 the way that they showed up for comedy in 2003?
Bruce Almighty led a great year for comedies. The success rate of comedies.
So at that time at the box office, the number one successful comedy was Bruce Almighty. And when we talk about why our audiences not showing up for comedies like they did 10 years ago, you hear a lot of people say, oh, it's because everything is so censored and people are so sensitive. I personally do not think that's it. Bruce Almighty is not a controversial, like, I never saw the movie, but is Jim Carrey like, ain't he Jesus or something in that movie? Like, that's not anything that is hot button topics or so. I don't think it's because, oh, audiences are sensitive now or something. Because when you look at the top most successful comedy at the box office 10 years ago, it wasn't anything controversial. Like, it was Jim Carrey playing Jesus.
Has drastically changed over the last 20 years. 2003 was a great year for comedies to find success at the box office, with Bruce Almighty leading the pack with ease. However, there were also notable hits like Something's Gotta Give, 200.
I never saw Something's Gotta Give. Y'all already know comedy is like my least favorite genre. But again, not a controversial comedy. Something's Gotta Give. Wasn't that the movie with the older white people? And it was like a romance movie or something, if I remember. Y'all, I'm going off memory. Okay, this was 2003. I hadn't even graduated high school yet. Okay, so I'm going off memory, and I'm going off memory of movies that I never saw. But Bruce Almighty, not controversial comedy. It is Jim Carrey playing Jesus. Something's Gotta Give. That's the movie with the older white people. That's like a romance or something like that.
$65.3 million. Love Actually, 244.
Again, a comedy that is not controversial or any hot button topics. Love Actually.
$4.9 million. American Wedding.
Now, I never saw the American Pie franchise, but that may be one of the ones that could be controversial because I think that franchise is about sex or something like that. But again, not anything that when people say, oh, audiences are too sensitive. But look at the comedies that were topping the box office in 2003. Nothing was controversial so far. We'll see whatever the rest of the movies are.
$232.7 million. Scary Movie 3, $220.6 million.
I was a huge fan of Scary Movie. I will never forget being like 13 or 14, and my mom was so angry because she took me and my friends to see Scary Movie, and they would not let us see it because it was rated R. They said that she had to be in the theater, and my mama did not want to sit through that ish. But now those could be seen as, I guess you could say they're a little controversial. Scary Movie 3 was the decline for me, like, but again, we're talking about why is it that audiences are not showing up for comedy in 2023 like they did in 2003. And so far, I only see two of the most successful comedies that I would consider maybe a look like everything else is pretty squeaky clean outside of American Pie franchise and Scary Movie franchise. But again, not to me anything controversial, but take my opinion with a grain of salt because I've never seen those. I mean, I've seen Scary Movie, but I've never seen American Pie.
Elf, $220.4 million.
Elf. That's that movie with it's like a Christmas comedy. Again, not controversial, no hot button topics. Again, I never saw the movie, but take my opinion with a grain of salt. But from what I know the movie is about, why are we not showing up for comedies now?
Anger Management, 100.
Anger Management. Again, not anything hot button, not anything controversial, not anything to be like, oh, audiences are sensitive now. Never saw Anger Management, but that's the movie where the mob guy was going to therapy, ain't it? What's hot button? And when I say why we aren't showing up for comedies, of course, I'm not talking about like we, because I just don't show up for them. But y'all know what I'm saying. Why y'all ain't showing up? Why are audiences not showing up for comedy?
$95.7 million. And Cheaper by the Dozen, $190.2 million.
Isn't that family-friendly comedy? So when I ask y'all why are audiences not showing up for comedy, don't say it's because people are sensitive now. Because in 2003, We didn't have nothing really. We didn't really have anything controversial as the top grossing comedies. We had some explicit sexual content, but so far,
all finishing in the top 25 of the year. In terms of true comedies, the biggest of 2023 is Jennifer Lawrence's No Hard Feelings, which
so. Oh wait, let's see how much it made.
only made $87 million worldwide.
So we had an array of top grossing comedy just 10 years ago at the box office. And now 10 years later, all we have is No Hard Feelings with Jennifer Lawrence, which I feel like isn't that a romance too? Is some guy in there she dating? Whatever the hell, y'all. I don't know. I'm not well versed on comedies, okay? I'm doing the best I can while we on this little comedy section. But again, y'all ain't show up for No Hard Feelings. Why? Don't tell me it's because audiences are sensitive and everyone has to be censored, because that's not the trend. That's not what we saw excelling in the box office in the comedy realm 10 years ago. So why do we have a decline in comedy?
Wide. 6. The metric for box office success has changed a lot, and so have budgets. Bigger budgets.
So when we talk about the trends at the box office, of course, budget and what success is now versus what success was then. Because how you measure like the success of your movie is, if I put $10, I'm just gonna use small numbers. If I put $10 into making a movie and I only gross $6, obviously that's not successful. I didn't even break even. I didn't recoup what I put into it. But if I spend $10 to make a movie and I make $100, that's a success. But as we get into a time where the budget is getting bigger, that is definitely going to change what we gauge as success. Because if I could make a movie for $10 in 2003 and make $100, but then in 2023 I make a movie for $500, see, those metrics and all that changes. So it's going to change what success is.
Have raised box office expectations. What a movie needs to make to qualify as a box office success nowadays has changed too. This is due to the heightened expectations of studios for how movies, especially in franchises, should perform in the rise of $1 billion movies.
And see, in 2003, a movie making $1 billion was a rarity. In 2003, The Lord of the Rings was the only movie that year and only the second movie ever to make $1 billion. But then we got into this thing of studios chasing $1 billion and it becoming the norm. And then that starts when we see trends at the box office. Now we're seeing budgets change and we're seeing what success is change and we're seeing what box office success is change. So if we only needed a certain amount of audience to come in for a movie for it to be successful, but we keep raising the bar of now the movie needs to make $1 billion, now we need to bank on more audience coming in to see the movie.
A movie like Bad Boys 2 would likely be considered a box office bomb in 2023 after making less than $300 million worldwide, which would put it well outside.
So in just 10 years ago, Bad Boys 2 is considered a success with $300 million gross. But in 2023, that $300 million gross is considered a bomb.
The top 10 worldwide. Meanwhile, The Matrix Revolutions would also be seen as an even bigger disappointment after making a little more than half of its predecessor. A big reason why these movies, and others, would not be seen as successful in 2023 is because of inflated budgets. For instance, Finding Nemo had a budget of under $100 million, but most Pixar animated movies now cost around $175 million.
And see, that's what I just said. If it takes me a certain amount of money to make a movie in 2003, obviously my success gauge is different versus 10 years later. If it takes me 10 times that budget, I need to recoup it. We need to, so really Hollywood kind of set themselves up for failure, right? I mean, that's what it looks like to me, because you're changing the bar, lowering the content you're giving us, the quality, and you need more of us to be showing up for your movies. And the thing that's so crazy to me is, what the is they doing with the budget? Why are budgets so high? Because I done seen some terrible CGI in recent times. What are they doing with the budget? We know they ain't paying the writers. Why are the budgets bigger, but the quality of the content lower? Riddle me that.
Dollars to $200 million to make. That put on the movie to perform well, which was not a problem for Finding Nemo.
Okay, are we good? Let me know in the comments. Are we good? Can y'all hear me? Can y'all see me? Are we up? We having technical difficulties, guys. Oh, we was on a roll. Okay, thank you. We're good. We're good. Okay, thank you. Let's continue. We was on a roll. Now, look, don't come in messing with us, devil.
5 horror movies are bigger at the box office in 2023 than 2000.
Okay, now see, okay, this is what we were talking about earlier. When we talk about the trends at the box office, I know personally, as someone who was born a horror fan, horror was never a top genre. Now we're finna get into how the box office has changed in regard to horror.
3. The genre is now filled with box office hits.
So, as all the things that the box office or that the studios used to could bank on, one thing that was never huge was horror movies. Now that everything is bombing, horror movie is on the rise. And I have personally seen the change myself. Like I said, I be talking about horror movies. Don't nobody watch horror movies. All of a sudden, The Ring came out. And my friends who were never into horror movies, oh, The Ring, The Ring, The Ring. And as time has passed, more and more people, I see people talking about Barbarian. That I'm like, you ain't never watching horror? And talking about X and all these. So what is this trend that has caused the audience that used to not show up for horror movies show up for horror movies, and the audience that used to show up for Marvel movies not show up for Marvel movies?
One of the impressive changes that has come at the box office in 2023 is the overall horror movies. There are essentially no notable horror movies that achieved box office success in 2003, but
Y'all, this is crazy to me. No horror movies achieved box office success in 2003. When we just went over the top grossing movies of 2003, not one was a horror. But I can guarantee you the next slide is going to be all the 2003 horror movies that I loved. But as mass audiences, y'all weren't showing up for the horror movies. It was me and all the little other niche little, horror fans showing up, but it did not equate to box office success because there wasn't a big enough audience. No horror movies cracked the top 10 years ago.
2023 is filled with them.
But 10 years later, the top 10 is filled with horror movies. Now, why y'all showing up for horror now? Huh? Why y'all on the bandwagon now? But that is so interesting to me. And like I said, especially as a person who I've never been a fan of comedy, but comedy has always been like the number one genre. Everybody loves comedy. I've never been a fan of superhero movies. Everybody loves superhero movies. But all of a sudden, studios cannot bank on comedy and superhero movies. And when we used to couldn't bank on horror, now they can bank on it. Now horror is very profitable and audiences are showing up. Why is that? Why are we seeing this change? And we know it's not just the lack of original content, because we have a ton of remakes in horror. We have a ton of franchises that won't quit in horror. So it's not just the whole time where we have less original content. What is the reason that audiences are showing up for a genre that they were not showing up for 10 years ago? Why is it that audiences are not showing up for stuff that they showed up for 10 years ago?
Everything from The Nun 2, Five Nights at Freddy's, Insidious, The Red Door, Scream 6, Evil Dead Rise, and The Exorcist, Believer currently have a place in the top 30 at the...
I cannot believe that in my lifetime, I have seen the day where a horror movie makes more than an Indiana Jones movie. Like that, if you would have told like 6-year-old me that, like that's y'all, do y'all realize how crazy that is? Like if you have been more than a casual movie fan, like if you have really been into movies and following movies over the last decade, over the last 20, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, did you ever think you see a time where the highest grossing movies are horror movies? Like that is so crazy to me. Like that, y'all, that is so crazy. I can't wait to see what y'all talking about in the comments, because like that blows my mind. It truly does. A horror movie made more than an Indiana Jones movie. One of the most beloved, celebrated franchises of all time. Bombed. But one of the least popular genres is at all-time high.
the worldwide box office. There are also notable hits outside this bracket, with Saw X, A Haunting in Venice, Talk to Me, and Cocaine Bear all making waves. Much of the success can be seen with franchises. For the era of movie stars is mostly gone in 2023.
Now that's something we have to talk about as well. When we talk about the trends that we have seen over the last 10 years, now we have to get into, is the era of movie stars being gone, is that just a myth or is that factual?
Only Tom Cruise remains, really. Looking at the biggest movies in 2003, stars like Jim Carrey, Tom Cruise, Will Smith, and Keanu Reeves all have hits.
So 10 years ago, you could bank on a movie star for audiences to show up. As somebody born in 1986, I could tell you, baby, we showed up for a Will Smith movie. Like it was a Will Smith movie, period. Like you showed up for him. People are not showing up for the actual actor. They ain't showing up for Scarlett Johansson. They're showing up for Avengers. When you talk about how the trends change and why audiences show up and why they don't, I personally feel like the death of the movie star is not a myth. I think it's real. It has been quite a while since I have heard somebody refer to a movie by just the actor's name. And the only person that has been able to do it, like they just said, the only one still standing is Tom Cruise. Will Smith movies don't even do what they used to. The only person that's still able for studios to just bank on that person bringing in audiences is Tom Cruise. And as somebody who I've never understood the Tom Cruise hype. If it was not for the Mission Impossible franchise, I would not love Tom Cruise. I freaking love Tom Cruise. And it's mostly because of Minority Report, Valkyrie, Mission Impossible franchise. I have never seen Top Gun in my life, and I don't want to. Just not my cup of tea. But why is it that Tom Cruise has been able to sustain his box office power when notably no one else can? And I would say, I don't know if the article is going to mention him, but I would say the only other person that I would add is Keanu Reeves. But are audiences showing up for Keanu Reeves or are they showing up for John Wick? Because I could be wrong when I said about the Avengers, because like I said, that's not my ministry. So if y'all are into Avengers, you can let me know if I'm right or wrong. But I personally don't feel like that Avengers reached massive success because of Chris Pratt or Chris Evans or Scarlett Johansson. I feel like it's outside of Robert Downey Jr. I feel like you could have cast anybody. Anybody could have been cast in Chris Pratt role. I mean, that's how I feel. So I'm not a fan of the genre. So let me know how you feel. But the way audiences showed up for a Will Smith movie, they're not showing up for a Chris Pratt movie. They're showing up for Avengers. Wait, is Chris Pratt in the Avengers? Y'all, am I messing? It was no, wait, yeah, because him and Zoe Saldana was in that last one. So yeah, look, my point still stands. The name of Will Smith brought people to the movie theater. The name of Tom Cruise brought people to the movie theater. I don't think the name of Scarlett Johansson is bringing people to the movie theaters. Scarlet Witch or whatever she is in there, that's bringing the people. The Avengers is bringing the people. And the only person, like I said, I would be different on is I would say Robert Downey Jr. I think people show up for Robert Downey Jr. I don't think anybody else could be cast as Iron Man. But I think somebody else could be cast as Captain America. I mean, I do. I think anybody else could be cast as Scarlett Johansson's like Scarlet Witch or whatever she is in that movie. But I could be wrong. Like I said, that's not my ministry.
While Smith and Reeves movies come from franchises, the success of Bruce Almighty and The Last Samurai are almost entirely built on the backs of Jim Carrey and Tom Cruise. They had the star power to draw audiences in almost regardless of what the movie was, but that movie star quality is mostly gone in 2023. The Mission.
Why is that movie star quality gone? People who used to could draw audiences. So it's not just the new wave of actors that aren't drawing audiences. The wave of actors before who were drawing audiences are no longer drawing audiences.
Impossible and John Wick franchises are still successful thanks to their involvement, but both Cruise and Reeves have struggled to launch movies outside of them. Franchises.
So, okay, see, that goes to what I just said. Are people showing up for Keanu Reeves or are they showing up for the John Wick franchise? Like they just mentioned in the article, people haven't shown up for other Keanu Reeves movies the way that they have shown up for John Wick. So again, is the myth of, the whole movie star being dead, is it really dead when someone like a Keanu Reeves isn't getting people to come to the theater, but we're coming for John Wick? Like, he still has a very successful franchise and movies, but is it off the back of Keanu Reeves? Is it off the strength of Keanu Reeves alone? Of course, he plays a part, but he isn't getting droves of people to the theaters for anything other than John Wick in recent, time.
Are bigger now than the stars at their center, even if Cruise and Reeves are still.
Movies now are bigger than the stars in them. Why is that? Why? And are we going, is it a cop out to say that the whole movie star allure is dead because of social media? Because I mean, not all celebrities are on social media. Not all actors are on social media. So is that a cop out to say, oh, we have so much access to them now that's why that allure is gone and the whole star power and movie star is gone?
Very much at the center of two major ones. For example, the MCU is a bigger selling point than Chris Pratt, Brie Larson.
Okay, so I'm not crazy. She just said, y'all. People aren't showing up for Brie Larson. I don't even know who the hell that is, but that's the name on there. People ain't showing up for Paul Rudd, and I know who that is. They're showing up for the franchise. They're showing up for the movie. They're not showing up for the star in them. The way that 10 years ago we showed up for the star.
Paul Rudd and other remaining stars are on their own. When even someone like Dwayne Johnson can star in box office flops after losing his franchise Viagra status.
And see, I just talked about that. The very first DC movie I ever saw was that Black Rock. y'all, whatever the hell. The one The Rock just played in. But The Rock is someone seen as someone that studios can bank on his name. And his movie flopped. Did it flop because of the burnout and fatigue of the audience with superhero movies? Did it flop because the whole movie star era is dead and people aren't showing up for a star anymore? Because it ain't my ministry, but I actually kind of like Black Adam. Yeah, that's what it was called, Black Adam. What did I say? Black Rock. Y'all know what I was trying to say. Like, it wasn't, I mean, it was mediocre, but it wasn't terrible. Like, I enjoyed it. It was enjoyable enough time. And I'm not even a fan of the genre. So, but you know, from what I hear from people that are fans of the genre, they be trashing it. But you have to show up and see it to know it's terrible. So, does a movie bomb only because it's terrible? Because you got to kind of show up to know it's terrible. So you didn't even pull people in to come see the movie if it just completely bombs. Because terrible movies have grossed a lot of money because they were able to get people to show up to it.
The movie star era is a bygone one. A lot of 2003's highest grossing movies wouldn't be as successful in 2023 if they got theatrical releases.
And this is what we were talking about earlier. When budgets and the marker for success changes, the movies that were successful 10 years ago would technically be bombs now. And like when we were saying, is the movie theater dead? A lot of those movies that went to the movie theater 10 years ago would go straight to streaming now. And does that change an audience's perception of a movie if it's streaming versus theater? Like, you know how back in the day it was the, straight to video, straight to Blockbuster versus the movies that went to the theater. And now it's the movies that just go straight to streaming versus the movies that go to the theater. Are the movies that go to streaming the same kind of, if you were around and you as old as me, if it was a straight to video movie, it wasn't on the same level as the movies that went to the theater. So are audiences looking at movies going straight to streaming in the same way? I personally don't think so, because you have like big releases that are now strictly streaming. What was that action movie earlier this year with that Australian kid, the white guy? It was a sequel where he a bodyguard and he, all that stuff. What am I thinking of? It was on Netflix. That was a straight to streaming release. If I remember correctly, that didn't go to the theater. That's a Netflix movie. Like, we have a lot of movies that are debuting on streaming that still have big budget, still have high quality. So what is that difference now for audiences when you talk about a movie going straight to streaming and a movie going to the box office? And is that a marker of success?
Finding Nemo could have struggled given Pixar's recent history. The success that some movies found in 2003 likely would not have been duplicated if they were made and released in 2023. Given the recent run of Pixar box office bombs and misfires, Finding Nemo's $871 million performance looks especially difficult to repeat. The Matrix franchise already floundered with its sequels in 2003, and the drop-off in quality and harsher reviews likely would kill the movie's box office to an even greater degree now. Return of the King and Pirates of the Caribbean would likely still be box office hits, but perhaps Bruce Almighty and The Last Samurai would not be given the decreased importance of movie stars.
And that's something else when you talk about the fact that these studios keep banking on a franchise. If you put out a certain movie in the franchise that's not so good and it leaves a bad taste in the audience's mouth, why would they show up for the sequels? One thing that I consistently hear people say who aren't even the biggest fan of the Scream franchise is that the Scream franchise is one of the most consistent franchises quality-wise. So when you go into the fact that audiences are not showing up for Avengers and superheroes like they used to, when you talk about the last movies to come out in those franchises and studios are banking on people continuing to show up, are the movies that are coming out now in those franchises as good as the movies that used to come out at the top of when those franchises started? Like, has the quality declined, but you're still expecting people to show up to it? And then when the quality declines and then you come out with yet another sequel, why would audiences show up?
There is also no guarantee that many of 2003's movies would even get theatrical releases nowadays. Most of the top 10 would still be safe in 2023. The exception could be Bruce Almighty, which might go to streaming through a Jim Carrey-centric deal similar to Adam Sandler's with Netflix. In that regard, there's a world where something's gotta give also heads to streaming to avoid another comedy.
Okay, so a lot of the movies that were the top 10 highest grossing in 2003 wouldn't even get a theatrical release now. It would go to streaming. But does that change the audience perception of the movie? Oh, if it's going to streaming, does that make it a situation of, well, that's like this is a lesser movie. It wasn't good enough for the big screen. I don't look at it like that. But is that how the audience is looking at it as a whole? Okay, so let's see. We're talking about the streaming versus theatrical. Not a lot of 2003 movies would work. Okay, this is like a good little part. Let's go down here. So when we talk about the trends of the box office, we have to also talk about the representation at the box office.
Horror movies also might not have even been made that long ago. 2023's box office shows improvements in diversity and representation since 2003. Women and people of color are better represented now. An improvement that can be seen with the 2023 box office compared to 2003 is through better representation and greater diversity. There are many more movies led by people of color and women now than there were 20 years ago. There was not a single movie in the top 10 box office in 2003 that had a female lead, but 2020.
Yo, that's sick. That's sick. That's psychotic. Not one movie in 2003 that was in the top 10 had a female lead. Not one. That's sick. That's sick. That's psychotic. But compare that to the top 10 movies of 2023.
3 has 3 with Barbie, The Little Mermaid, and
So just 10 years ago, 0 movies in the top 10 had a female lead versus now 10 years later, 3 movies in the top 10 have female leads.
Elemental. 2 of these movies count toward the greater number of movies that are led by people of color, including major franchise continuations like Creed 3, Transformers, Rise of the Beasts.
I haven't seen Transformers since Shia LaBeouf. Who is the person of color? Y'all, who is the person of color in the franchise now? I thought it was Marky Mark. I guess I'm just not hip. Who is the person of color in Transformers? Because I thought Mark Wahlberg was in them now.
And Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse. It is obviously great to see Hollywood moving in the right direction when it comes to diversity and representation rather than taking a step backward or making no progress at all. The last 2 decades are filled with several examples that broke old Hollywood myths that women and people of color could not be the leads of financially successful movies. There is still room for the movie industry to do better.
That was definitely a thing. That white audiences are the audience to target, and that white audiences will not show up for a movie led by a black person.
In this regard, the continued success of movies at the box office with diverse leads that offer more representation of the human experience will only aid in the advancement of this progress. Source: Box Office Mojo, 2003-2023.
Y'all, this is definitely some really interesting trends that we are seeing. And when we talk about the fact that box office revenue is really on the decline, we have to look at the factors of why it's on the decline. Why are audiences not showing up? Okay, let's get into some comments. I'm fine with streaming because I hate paying $60 for stale concession food and candy. When I tell you, I do not see streaming movies as the lesser films. I want every movie to go to streaming. I already said, let the audience pick and choose. put whatever goes to the theater, put it on streaming at the same time. But I know that won't happen. You know, you make more money at the movie theater, and I feel like people who would see a movie at the theater, if you're going to just put it on streaming, they're going to be less likely to want to go see it at the movie theater. And I feel like that also aids in why people aren't showing up to the movie theater, is because the second the movie is at the theater, next thing you know, it's on streaming. So it's like, well, why the hell am I going to pay $60 at the concession stand like Struggle just said, if y'all gonna just put it on streaming 2 weeks later? Female-led or not, movies are poorly written, bad directing, billion-dollar CGI that looks terrible, too many CGI movies, and that is the problem. Equalizer, I agree. And I'm a person, honestly, I am not a stickler when it comes to effects. I got no problem with some bad effects. I truly don't. I know for a lot of people, they're a stickler about effects. They feel like it takes them out of the movie, that it's bad quality, and I completely get that. But me personally, bad effects do not ruin my movie watching experience. The only situation where I care about effects is horror movies. I feel like horror movies should all be practical effects, point blank, period. But again, it doesn't ruin my experience. However, I done seen some bad effects in CGI lately. And for me to really take note, that means it's bad. Because like I said, I'm not a stickler about it. The newest Transformers movie had Dominique Fishback and okay. Because I was like, who was the person of color? But like I said, I haven't watched since Shia LaBeouf, so I'm not hip to it. Let's see. Oh, baby, y'all been running the comments up. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, y'all been running the comments up. I don't even know where the hell to start. Let me just click on something, child. No one likes Jennifer Lawrence. Why y'all doing this girl like that? No one likes Jennifer Lawrence like that, and movies today aren't funny. I just watched Kick-Ass 1 and 2. They won't make those movies today. Okay, so this is when we were talking about why our audience is not showing up for comedy, because we had a host of comedies that were successful 10 years ago versus now we had one comedy with mediocre success, which is the Jennifer Lawrence No Hard Feelings. And for me, I was saying I don't think it's the whole because everything got to be politically correct. Because when we looked at those top successful comedies 10 years ago, nothing was hot button. So according to Struggle, y'all niggas just ain't funny no more. And that's why people ain't showing up for comedy, because y'all just don't know how to be funny. Only thing I ask is we stop putting Amy Schumer in movies. Laundry Day, I'm right there with you, homegirl. Or homeboy. Sorry, I don't know. Laundry Day, but I'm with you. I didn't mind Bruce Almighty, but I agree that it would be controversial nowadays if it came out. Now, why would Bruce Almighty be controversial? I never saw it, but isn't it just like I guess I won't say family friendly, but nothing sexually explicit. I mean, like I said, I never saw the movie, but ain't it just Jim Carrey playing Jesus and granting all his own wishes? Like, don't he meet Jesus and Jesus lets him be, not Jesus, God. Isn't Jim Carrey in that movie? He's Bruce Almighty because he meets the Lord Almighty, and God like gives Jim Carrey, he lets Jim Carrey be God, and Jim Carrey is out granting all his own wishes. Why wouldn't that fly nowadays? Why would that be controversial? What happened to the days of 48 Hours, Blues Brothers coming to America, trading places? I miss funny without thinking too much. And I will say, as a person who is not a fan of comedy, the bottom of the barrel genres for me is comedy, romance, musicals. I will say there are more comedies that I actually like that are older movies. It really ain't no comedy of the past like 10 years that I can say I like. But I do have some comedy gems that I love that are from more back in the day. Let's see. Y'all been running the comments up, child. And I love to see it. Tom Cruise is the last movie star left, but he hasn't done anything other than his own franchises. The last good acting movie he did was Collateral. Now, when we were talking about the no more movie stars outside of Tom Cruise, that is a good point. Was it Tom Cruise that drew people to the box office, or was it the franchise? Because again, we still banking on the franchise, because wasn't it Top Gun and Mission Impossible? Like, it wasn't anything new. It was part of an already established movie franchise. I like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot. Okay, now we got a lot of them. Are you talking about the 2003 Jessica Biel? Are we talking about the other one with my girl from Fast and the Furious? Or are we talking about the much more recent one? And wasn't it a Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Trey Songz? I don't know which reboot you talking about, but I love the one with Jessica Biel. Because that Indiana Jones last movie was terrible. But okay, and see, this is what I mean when I talk about movies that bomb. People have to show up to even know it's terrible. So if a movie bombs, you didn't even get people to show up. Let's see. It's like food prices being raised, but sizes shrinking, and they think we too stupid to notice. But regurgitating the same idea, they think they can get away with that. They can't get away with that for too long. I hate to say it, but let Mission Impossible die as a long term. Die hard Mission Impossible fan. And I mean like psychotic Mission Impossible fan. I still remember the first time I ever saw Mission Impossible in my life when it came out back in the day, and I was just a wee little tot. I gotta agree. Let it die. And I say let it die because I did enjoy the most recent one, but I'm a fan of ending on top. Like, don't keep going and going and going, waiting for that one terrible one to come out and then you ruin you kill your damn franchise. Go out on top. We don't have to keep going. Scream is a franchise I want to die, but Scream is a franchise that I no longer really enjoy. Just let it die. But they ain't. They're coming out with another one. Mission Impossible, let it die. And I know everybody trashes it, but I love Fast and the Furious franchise. Let it die. Fast and the Furious should have been damn died. Okay, let it die. Quite a few franchises that they need to let die, but that's the only ones I could think of off the top of my head. It's sad to watch Ford trying to be that young guy again, but he just doesn't have it anymore. Harrison Ford. I just saw what is that movie? I didn't kill my wife. I don't care. What's that movie, y'all? I love that motherfucking movie. I just saw it. I heard about South Park doing that. I need to watch. What does South Park do? Now that's controversial. Is South Park still on? Oh, look. No one wants to see Harrison Ford be put out to pasture for profit. He's 100 years old and deserves respect. Well, that statement don't sound respectful. Who wanted to see an 80-year-old Indiana Jones? And see, that's the thing. Honestly, that kind of makes me sad. And it makes me think of like when I watch like my favorite MMA fighters and stuff. Like, I will never forget, like, having to watch Anderson Silva like come back and like, it hurt my heart for people to just go past their prime. And for me, I don't even mean age when I say prime, but I mean talent wise, your eye you might have for like if you read a script or you hear an idea. Like I said, Bruce Willis was turning it out in the 90s, and the quality. It's a certain talent you have to be able to pick a script, pick the director to work with. When you start getting to that point where you, oh God, when you just ain't got it, like it makes me sad. Like, I like for things to go out on top. Let your TV series go out on top. Don't just keep going because something is successful. Your heyday ends, babes. Like, it ends. And I feel like it's hard for people to accept that it has ended. Let's see. I go to movies for an escape, but when rent high, gas high, food bill high, movie theater experience, and even streaming going to back burner. Yes. when we talk about our movie theaters dead, it's a lot of factors that go into it. And I definitely think that this post-pandemic high price and cost of living plays a huge part. Let's see. I'm tired of the live action Disney movies. Okay, I'm gonna do a few more comments and then we're going to get into our next segment. Y'all, I'm trying to be organized, baby. I'm doing it. Okay, look. We this is structured. Okay, we're structured today. Okay, my mama would be proud because she's been trying to teach me structure since I was a kid and I ain't learned till now. Look, I'm trying to be like Struggle when I grow up. We got this. We got a structure. Okay, we got a little slide on the screen. Okay. We got topics and points we hitting. I'm growing up, okay? I'm growing up before your very eyes. It's streaming and the quality of the content. And that's why I'm like, I don't think streaming equals lower content. I mean, quality, sorry. I blame these studios for the over budget for some of these movies to reach $1 billion. That's hard to get. Yes, I definitely think in the decline of the box office and the revenue, and I don't think it's just how audiences are showing up. I do think they stabbed themselves in the foot, as the saying goes. Like, you are setting a bar of grossing $1 billion the norm. Everything ain't gonna gross $1 billion, babes. The greatest movies have not grossed $1 billion. You know I ain't paying no movie unless my kids want to see it. I'm with you, girl. I mean, I ain't got no kids, but I'm with you. Let's see. Batman was excellent and Marvel could never. Can we talk about Jonathan Majors bringing people to the movies for 2 franchises? Did people show up for Jonathan Majors or did they show up for the franchise? So when we talk about movie stars being dead, it's because people used to show up to the movies for the actor. We showed up for a Will Smith movie. I don't know if we're showing up for a Jonathan Majors movie or if we're showing up for Ant-Man or if we're showing up for, Rocky, or, it ain't Rocky no more, but y'all know what I'm saying. It's attached to the franchise. So I don't know. Y'all let me know. Like, are we showing, because that in my ministry, like I already said, but are we showing up for Jonathan Majors or are we showing up for the franchise? Ant-Man was awful. That ain't my ministry. Y'all know I'm not into the superhero stuff, but I have been trying to get into it. And if you haven't, I do have a review on my channel on the new Ant-Man, so check it out. But I will say, even though that's not my genre, I do have a few gems I like. Ant-Man was terrible. And I just don't like the Ant-Man character. Like Paul, I couldn't get down with it. And his daughter was on my nerves. And, yeah. And the CGI looked terrible. When we got into that time, wasn't that the one where was that the one? Or was it the one with the kid that moved really fast? Dang, now I'm getting movies mixed up. Which one was the superhero movie where someone was going in this time warp bubble and then they met like their older self in the time warp bubble? Whichever one that was, because they're bleeding together in my brain, the effects was terrible. I need a dating app powered by AI. Let the AI do all the small talk, chatting, and then alert me when there's a good match. So you want your potential mate to converse with the robot. There may have been only one superhero movie that year. Yes, the rise of the superhero movie. I told y'all killed the box office. My nephew showed up for the Super Mario Brothers movie and they loved it. Child, I cannot believe y'all had Super Mario Brothers gross $1 billion. Like, I am flabbergasted. Okay. We got to get into our next topic. Audiences show up depending on what the movie is about, who stars in it, and who directs it. Now, when we talked earlier about a casual movie fan versus a movie buff, I don't think casual movie fans are showing up for a director, babe. I don't. Do they even know any directors outside of like the big name directors you would hear? I don't think casual movie fans are showing up for the director. Now, I do think it can be a mix of audiences showing up for who stars in it versus and what the movie is about. I like the first Doctor Strange. The second one was terrible. Is that the one with the cape? And I think yeah, I hated that movie. That was one of the ones when I tried to get into Marvel and superhero earlier this year. Okay, we finna get into our next topic, which I want to highlight. When we were talking about the trends of the box office, remember, y'all was treating horror like the redheaded stepchild. It was not a top genre. No horror movies were in the top 10 years ago, and now horror movies dominate the top 10. So let's look at, no horror movies were in the top 10 in 2003, but we are going to look at some 2003 horror movies, and we had quite a bit come out, but I am just going to highlight some of the ones that I loved at that time. And let me know in the comments any 2003 horror movies that you enjoyed. Dreamcatcher is the one I said I love earlier, and we discovered Dreamcatcher actually bombed, and I never had any clue. I love that movie. Yes, it's flawed, but overall I enjoy Jonesy. I love that movie. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 version with Jessica Biel. Love that movie. I really cannot, y'all. I mean, I can't believe it because, like I said, we all know horror was never a top genre. But it's so crazy to me, the horror movies I showed up to the movies to see and the horror movies that I loved and still love 20 years later, like none of them were box office success. It just didn't happen for horror movies. That was not the genre. And now it's the genre. Darkness Falls, love that movie. 2003, High Tension, 2003. None of these movies were box office success. Underworld, I just really can't believe it. Gothica, none of these movies were box office success. None of them. Final Destination 2. And Final Destination 2 grossed some good behind money, and it was not a box office success. Wrong Turn. Do y'all remember that movie Willard? Tell me y'all know that movie. Tell me y'all know Willard. But now in 2023, horror is the top genre. Versus the top genre used to be comedy. And I really want to know, why are audiences no longer showing up for comedy and suddenly showing up for horror? Why is that? Why is something we used to not, not we, because I always been on the train, but why is something we used to not show up for suddenly the top thing that audiences are turning up for? And I wonder if the shift is the new highbrow, arty horror movies. Is that why audiences are suddenly on the train? But the top grossing horror that's dominating this year, it's not all like the highbrow. It's Evil Dead. So it's very interesting to me, and I really want to hear from people who were not horror fans 10 years ago, 20 years ago, but they are now. Like, why is that? And the people that were such comedy fans 10 years ago, why are you not showing up now? Like, that is so interesting to me. I saw all those movies except High Tension. Ooh, Laundry Day, you missing out, babes. Go see High Tension. Soon as this live is over, go see it. Don't watch no previews. Just go in blind. I don't know if you're going in blind. You say you ain't see it, but I don't mean you ain't never seen a preview or anything. Yes. Well, oh, no. Not the original Willard. Because if I'm not mistaken, the 2003 Willard is a remake. I always liked horror. Okay, Shaka Zulu, you been on the train, babe. You been on the train. I want to know the people that haven't been on the train. Why is it such a top one now? Yes, I love Gothica. You know what's so crazy? When I first got on YouTube, I did a review on that Halle Berry boxing movie that was on Netflix. And somebody commented that I must be an idiot because I think Halle Berry could act. I have never, the same way that I say, and this is why I feel like audience and mass opinion does not matter to me, because it seems to always clash with how I feel. The same way I said I don't understand the Chris Evans hype, I never understood the Halle Berry slander. Is she the Meryl Streep? Like, is she, Angela Bassett? Is she the greatest actress ever? No, of course not. But I really do not think that she is like this terrible actor that people make her out to be. And honestly, I like Catwoman. I enjoy that mediocre ass movie. It is entertaining to me. I do not understand the Halle Berry slander. She can act. Like, am I psychotic? Am I remedial like that commenter said? Because I think Halle Berry could act. But Gothica is my movie. And Halle Berry did her damn thing in it. Wasn't Dreamcatcher the one where the alien ran like in a... No, babe. We were all in a cabin and we ran into an alien, and I do not remember him running like a cartoon. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003 was good. Yes. And it's so crazy to me that, honestly, as a horror fan, I'm not in agreement with a lot of the mass horror fans. A lot of the iconic horror movies, I either straight up don't like or I just think it's meh. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a movie that I think is meh. Like, it's okay. But honestly, I hate when we get to the end and that girl doing all that damn high-pitched screaming. I literally had to like mute the TV. Like, it's insane. The Shining, meh. I'm not the biggest fan. And you know what really kills me with The Shining? And I feel like this is probably going to sound so stupid. The score kills me and ruins that movie for me. It like hurts my ears. Like, it feels like it's at an octave that is like killing my ear. Like, that ruins the movie for me. It makes me hate that movie. What's something else people think is iconic? The Exorcist. Now, The Exorcist is a movie that I don't think is terrible. I enjoy it. I've rewatched it. Stuff like The Shining, I haven't rewatched. I haven't seen that since I was a kid. Stuff like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre original, I haven't seen it since I was a kid. Those are movies that I just don't enjoy. I have no desire to rewatch. The Exorcist is a movie I have rewatched a few times. It's enjoyable. I get it. And I get why that would be so shocking and such a big thing for people at that day and age. But it ain't all it's cracked up to be, in my humble opinion. But yeah, a lot of stuff that I don't care for Midsummer. I didn't like Barbarian. Like, and that's why I say, like, as an audience, do we really care about box office success? Because everybody's experience with something is different. People was raving about Barbarian. I went to go watch them. I was like, this is what people was raving about? I don't want to see, like, y'all, I ain't even finna get into it because I don't need no slander in my comments today. Because they already came for me and said I'm an idiot because I think Halle Berry can act. So I ain't even finna get into it. But yeah, it's a lot of like horror opinions that I just do not agree with. When it comes to like the mass like opinion on a lot of horror stuff, I feel the complete opposite. Audiences show up depending on what the movie. Oh, we already went through that. Y'all got so many comments in here, child. I'm getting lost. See, this how y'all supposed to show up, okay? The comments ain't supposed to be dry. Y'all supposed to be showing up in the comments, okay? When the videos come up, I need y'all to be in the comments like y'all are right now. I don't care if Halle Berry can act. She is absolutely stunning. You're talking about the movie with Charlie Sheen where the black kid's leg turned backwards and he started running off screaming. Oh my God. Dr. Sleep was good too. Dr. Sleep is a gem. I just rewatched that. I have seen that movie like 40 times. I'm on my way to being able to say I've seen it 100 times. I am so obsessed. And honestly, my girl, damn it, her name escapes me right now. I know her name, but I just cannot think of it. My girl that was in Mission Impossible, that's also in Doctor Sleep. Y'all, I really feel like top 5 horror villain of all time. Like y'all, I was scared of her. I was scared of, like, yeah, she did the damn thing. She did it. Dorothy Dandridge, Holly Berry was good. That's another one of those movies that if I knew about it before really seeing it, I would have never watched. That movie is so sad. I do not like watching stuff like that. That poor lady. Ooh, Jesus. Bring the slander, Nikki. That's what I'm here for. Shout out to JS. Let's see. Halle Berry is the first Black best actress. She is a good actor. Her personal life situations do not help. I really don't know anything about her personal life situations. I know she got cheated on. That was way back in the day though. I really don't know nothing else. I'm just now finding out she has a daughter. I was scared of her too. I'm telling you, Shaka Zulu, I'm telling you. Top 5 horror villain. I'm telling you, like, baby was iconic. Baby was iconic. Halle Berry needs to be in a starring role again. That aged out policy in Hollywood is a bunch of BS. Oh, I completely agree. And you know what's so funny to me is, you know, that whole thing about a woman's prime is like her 20s. That could not be further from the truth. I was watching a video the other day on YouTube. This girl posted a video on her channel about how it feels to be the ugly friend. Gorgeous girl, by the way. Like, and I know that honestly, beauty be regional. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there are certain regions where if a woman has a nice body but a mediocre face, she's considered beautiful. But then other regions, if a woman has a nice face and a mediocre body, she's considered beautiful. So it is very regional. Because I'm like, babe, where the hell you live? Because you is gorgeous. Now, she is a girl like me that's not all done up. She had her glasses on. She had like a hoodie on. I was like, girl, how the hell are you the ugly friend? You just ain't the friend that dressed the hell up, but you was not no ugly friend. But it is so, she's a young girl in her early 20s. And she was talking about how she was so insecure in high school. And, you know, now she's starting to come into her own and try to find a step. I feel like that whole a woman's prime is her. It is such a lie. Like, the glow up be real. When you think about your style when you're younger, the choices and decisions you make in men, because I don't even want to get into the men that I was fooling with, child. The hell, I had a hole in my head. You really get into your prime when you hit your mid 30s. Like, you truly do. Your confidence, just the way you view yourself, your comfort in yourself, your comfort in your body, your decision make. I feel like I love seeing a movie where we have an older female lead. Like, it is just, like, no, your prime is not when you a dumbass 20-year-old. Her ex-husbands got into a very violent fight. Both wound up in the hospital. Berry did a hit and run accident. Nobody hurt. She is deaf in one ear. Slapped by a boyfriend actor sometime back. Wow, I had no idea about any of that. Wow. Women are their sexiest at 35 on. I completely agree. And it's something I want to say, but I don't know if my mama's still on the live. So we're going to just leave it there. But yes, I really feel like a woman's prime is nowhere near your young 20s. It is definitely once you start. And for some women, it could be that threshold of early 30s, but I really feel like it is like that mid 30s status. Let's see. It is crazy, the aged out thing for women when you have a 80-year-old Indiana Jones. And how long did Sean Connery stick around? Misogyny is always at all-time high, babes. Let's see. Y'all, I swear it's like so many comments, like I'm lost. I don't even know where to go. I love it. Chris Rock did that skit about the hit and run where Wanda Sykes said, "I see you, Holly Berry." I have never heard of that. But again, I'm not I definitely don't watch no dang stand up. Let's see. I think this was fun, guys. And see, y'all, we tried something new. So let me know how y'all feel. You know, we went through some topics, we went through some articles. Y'all, I had a hell of a time trying to figure out how to have the article get read. I am so not tech savvy. Like oh Jesus, y'all have no idea. Like I'm so not tech savvy. I had a hell of a time. And I still can't figure out why I had the echo. Did it have an echo for y'all or just for me? I feel like when the AI was reading, it had like an echo, but I don't know if it was only an echo on my end or if y'all heard an echo. It was fun. Yes, thank you. So, okay, so we get a good reception. So I'm feeling like we should do something like this again. So if y'all have any type of topics y'all want us to talk about, or if you come across a good article, anything in the realm, well, I want to say anything in the realm of movies, TV, stuff like that. But I don't know. Maybe we could venture outside of that. But I think, you know, it's a movie review channel. And I was feeling like, let's do some new content. Let's switch some stuff up. Let's do something different, like something to go along with movie reviews and TV show reviews. And I know that when I do, and it's very few and far between, I would do like my topic videos, like my violence in movies video and being desensitized, which that's a topic I want to revisit. Because when I did that topic, it was kind of just my singular opinion on being desensitized and stuff. But now that, you know, I'm trying to grow up and, you know, be like struggle reviews and, you know, get a little research in and do a little outline for the video, I feel like I want to do like I did with this video and redo that topic and find some good articles that really go over like more than just my singular view of being desensitized and violence in movies, like a real, like how audiences have changed over years, kind of like we did today with our audiences actually more desensitized now. Because it's crazy to me. I feel like, I'm be honest, my mama shouldn't be letting me watch half the stuff I was watching when I was a kid. Baby, I'm telling y'all, people think I've been exaggerating. I have literally been watching horror movies since I was a toddler, since I was 2 years old, sitting, watching. I did not watch Little Mermaid. I did not watch, like, I watched horror movies. That is my mother's favorite genre. She's a huge movie buff. So I grew up watching what she was watching. And I will never forget being a little kid and being like, what was that movie? What a treat, R word, that girl. Evil Dead is what I'm referring to. Y'all, like my mind was warped. My mind still is warped. And I feel like I am the opposite of being desensitized. The complete opposite. I am so empathetic. And that's also a reason why I don't like watching like movies that cover certain topics. Y'all, I am so I will cry. Oh my Jesus. What is that movie I just saw that y'all conned me into watching? I did not know it was going to be like that. I was crying my eyes out. What? The Haunting of Hill House, motherfuckers. Who? JS. It was you. It was you. Why the hell y'all had me watch that? I was crying from beginning to motherfucking end. Y'all, I was told up, my Jesus. I was told up. I was told the hell up. So I feel like as a person who has seen, my favorite movie as a kid was Eye for an Eye, which if you're not familiar, that is a movie with Sally Field when Kiefer Sutherland is a I don't know if I can say rapist, you know, trigger warning, but her daughter gets essayed and murdered, and that's literally my favorite childhood movie. Like my mind was mother freaking warped. Like I was watching it that I really feel like your kids don't need to be watching, baby. I was watching these get all kind of chopped up in horror movies, and I am the complete opposite of desensitized. So I personally feel like the whole desensitization thing, I personally feel like it's a myth. I feel like we do not have more violence now because of movies and people are just, I personally don't feel that way. I feel like humans have always been violent. We didn't need movies for that. And But that's where I'm like, I want to update that video and retouch on that topic, because obviously my singular experience is not the experience of the masses. And I could be wrong. Maybe we are more violent because of movies. I mean, I don't think so. Um Maybe audiences over the last 20 years have gotten more desensitized. But I feel like I could not be further. What's the opposite of desensitized? That's what I am. All I have to do is hear about something terrible happening and my spirit is ready. I don't even have to know the people, y'all. Like, I am so sensitive and just so empathetic. If anything terrible is happening to people, like, it wrecks me. I cannot. I was that girl, that person in school. I did not. You know how everybody started to watch a fight? I didn't. Like, it's too, like, it disturbs my sensibilities. But I will go watch a horror movie all day because, and that's the thing with my mama letting me watch all kind of stuff as a kid. My mother told me, and I had an understanding of what I was watching wasn't real. Like, it was, I have spent my whole life looking for a horror movie that literally scared me. And I feel like I gave up on that hunt. I feel like there will never be a horror movie that scares me. And horror movies didn't scare me as a kid because it just rings in my head that it's not real. And I cannot be scared of something that's not real. Like, I just can't. Now, I'm a punk in real life. I do not do haunted houses. I did a haunted house one time and I flipped the hell out because them niggas was touching us. And I did not know they could touch you. I am a punk in real life. But as far as being scared, because I'm watching, I like never have. I was that kid. I don't have to watch something fluffy before going to sleep. I could go watch Murder and Mayhem and go sleep like a baby. So it is just so insane to me that people perpetuate that audiences are desensitized because of violence. And I feel like I'm the poster child for somebody who has been consuming violent content since I was a little kid, brain still developing, and I am the furthest from being desensitized. So I definitely want to revisit that topic and do like we did today and be on my big girl shit and, you know, get a little research in, get a little outline going, and really, you know, bring something to the table and revisit that topic. But I like this. And if you guys did, let's, you know, we're going to keep this going and have us a little series of doing our little, you know, find us some good little topics. Let me see. What we talking about? Yes, this is good and working. Thank you, Equalizer. Thank you. Keep it up, Nikki. Thank you. I love your topic videos. Lots of fresh takes. Yes, I thought of you, JS, because I don't really, they're few and far between. And I'm like, you know what? Let me start really doing my topic videos again. Because y'all know I love running my mouth. And I got an opinion about everything. And I just feel like it's really interesting to just branch off into some stuff since we're talking about movies and, you know, film and TV. Like, let's branch off into some topics and, you know, really explore some of this stuff. Big thanks to Tyra for coming over and showing the support for Nikki. Y'all know that's my girl. That's my girl. That's a good topic. I think people are more desensitized. I thought it was the color purple. What you thought was the color purple? I think less is more in many cases when it comes to graphic content. More suspense and less gore works better for me. Y'all, this little one, she always bugging me. But at least they're not. Y'all, we made it through a live without the motherfucking dogs barking. I'm on my shit today. And see, that's the thing when we talk about like audiences being desensitized. And y'all know the main person I use as an example when I be comparing and talking about movies is my mama, because that's the only other horror fiend and movie buff that I know in real life. But my mother has always been the type of horror fan. She does not like nasty. She does not like gore. She does not like explicit. She just likes a genuine, like, scary, suspenseful horror. Ever since I was a little kid, I want gore. I want nasty. I want like graphic, disgusting, and I like just genuine horror. But I am sensitive to certain things. Like, I wasn't always like that. Like I said, my favorite movie as a kid was Eye for an Eye. But once I hit a certain age, you know how like you know what something means, but you don't really know what it means. Like, I knew what RAPE was, trigger warning. Like, I knew what it was, like the definition as a kid. But as I got older, it was more impactful. So I refuse to watch movies with an essay scene. You can insinuate it, but if there is an actual scene, I will not watch the movie. What was that movie that came out a few years ago where it was back in the day where this lady accused The Duel? I wanted to see that movie so bad, but I found out there's an essay scene. I have not watched it. I will not watch it. I refuse. Eye for an Eye was my favorite movie as a child. Like, it has such nostalgia for me. I have not rewatched it. Like, I refuse. So I feel like all that stuff is dependent on the audience. There's a girl who does horror. Damn it, I wanted to shout her out. I can't think of her channel, but I watch her channel, and she did this video about horror movies that she refuses to watch. And a lot of them, I was like, I watch them. Like, what's the? But everybody has their own threshold of what's too far or what's too much or what they just will not watch or condone, and what crosses the line for them. So for me, I do not think there is any reason to show a essay scene. Like, I don't. And I especially don't, and that's one thing that as I've gotten older, I don't like, not so much nowadays, but they just did it on Winnie the Pooh, that movie. But I hate that horror back in the day where a woman gets killed or essayed, and for me, it's filmed in a way that's like sexy. Like, why the woman got to be topless to die? Like, that's why I don't like scenes like that, because I don't like how it's portrayed. But for some people, they don't have a problem. For me, I don't see it as entertainment. But then when it comes to something like kids getting killed in movies, I don't like kids getting killed in movies. You can insinuate it, but I don't want to see an actual scene. But that doesn't cross the line for me. I will still watch it. My mother, on the other hand, if you doing something explicit to kids, she won't watch it. That's her line. So everyone's threshold, everyone's line is completely different. Woo, cha. Eye for an Eye is good. Yeah, baby, Sally Field did the motherfucking thing. That, when I tell y'all, I saw that movie like 100 times as a kid. That was literally my favorite childhood movie. And you know what? I be thinking about, somebody pointed this out. Like, I'll talk about different movies and call it my favorite childhood movie. But it was a lot of movies that I consider my favorite childhood movie. But yeah, I do that a lot. Let's see. I had no business loving Waiting to Exhale at night. Yeah, so it wasn't just me. It wasn't just my mama. Baby, my mama took me to see Players Club when I was about 8 years old. She took me and my cousin to see Players Club. We was 8 years old. It was a lot of movies I shouldn't have been watching. But I'm glad I was not the only one. I cannot watch movies with essay. Okay, so it's not just me. It's not just me. What series? Oh, you must be talking about The Haunting of Hill. Look, it was good. My video will be coming on Haunting of Hill's House, but I was pissed the hell off at you because I don't like to cry. I will avoid it's movies that I want to see. I will not watch it if I know it's the type of movie that will make me cry. I hate crying. And I cried from beginning to end on The Haunting of Hill House. And I was like, these motherfuckers. I thought I was coming in here to watch a horror. I thought I was watching like a Penny Dreadful TV show again, like a little horror TV show. Y'all got me in here crying. My 11-year-old nephew, he loves Child's Play and recently saw Saw. Yeah, and you know what? I be joking when I say my mama shouldn't have had me watch that stuff. I feel like it's all indicative of the child. Some kids, like I was not that kid that was sensitive like that. It really did not affect me to watch that stuff. However, some kids, it will really affect them. They will have nightmares. I hate it. It's somebody I used to know. She dated a certain guy and he liked horror movies. And he would treat his son was like 5 years old. He would berate that kid because he was too scared to watch the movie. He would try to force the kid to watch the movie. Like, this is too much for that kid. He's freaking 5 years old. Like, he need to toughen up. It's a freaking movie. Do you know how many? Like I always say, I do not know anybody in real life that loves horror movies. Every guy I've ever talked to in my life do not do horror movies. They punks. They scared. They don't want to see. Well, I don't want to pay nobody to scare me. I want to see. Like, are you psychotic just because he doesn't like horror? Like, I hate stuff like that. So it is very indicative of the child. And I think it's on the parent to just know your child and know what your child can and cannot handle. And I do think if you don't know, you start them off light. You know, it's lighter horror when you want to get your child. Because I get that. That's why I'm into horror. When you are into something and really love it, you want to share it with your kid. Or your kid is just around and they're going to see what you're watching. I completely get that. But baby, don't traumatize the kids. Don't traumatize the kids. You are an empath. What is that? What you calling me? Mothman was super scary. Are you talking about Mothman Prophecies? I like that movie. I like that movie. Oh, I thought they weren't allowed to touch in a haunted house. That was y'all. Y'all, I went to one haunted house in my life, never went ever again. Them niggas was touching us, and because I was all like, and I really didn't even care to go. It just, I don't know, like people assume because I'm so in a horror that I'm in like certain stuff in real life, and I'm really not. And somebody was like, you know, it's the haunted house. You don't. They asked me specifically because I'm the one that's in the horror. I didn't really care, but I was like, you know what? Let's just go. Because I was of the mind that I'm in when I see movies. Like, oh, it ain't real. I'm gonna walk through. I'm gonna see some stuff. But baby, when I got in that mug, and them niggas was literally touching and attacking, I said, oh, hell no. Hell no. I never went in a haunted house ever again for the rest of my life. And around the time I did say I wanted to go to Halloween horror, this was years ago. I was in like my early 20s, child. I said I think I was in my early 20s. I'm losing track of it. Y'all, time be just crazy. But I wanted to go to Halloween Horror Nights. I've never been. Because after that, I said, baby, hell no. Hell no. I ain't playing with y'all. The scariest movies are the ones that get you tight, like The Descent. Yeah, I feel like for me, my scary movie experience is not so much being scared. For me, it's being like anxious. Like I love, like it's my aunt hates horror because she hates for her nerves to be tore up. That's fun to me. I love my nerves to be tore up. I love to be on the edge of my, like that is so fun to me. Yes, my baby is cute. Thank you, Shaka Zulu. My baby. Her name is literally Baby. She had a different name because I wanted to continue the Z trend. My first dog that passed away, her name was Zala. And then my second dog, her name is Zaya. And I wanted to continue the Z trend. I used to call them the Z girls. Oh, I miss my baby. But she had a Z name when I first got her, but it just didn't fit. You know how like I feel like I look like a Nicole. Like I'm a Nicole. Like some people are just say you're a Brittany. She just was not that name. And I every time I talk to a dog and it's a girl, I always say girl. Like I say, it's okay, girl. Come on, girl. Like I always just say girl. But for some reason with her, I kept saying baby. I kept saying, it's okay, baby. Come on, baby. Like I kept saying that. And I was like, you're a baby. So her name got changed. Chucky came out at the time when my buddy 3 foot tall dolls came out. Sales of that doll rocketed down. Kids be so scary. You would love the slasher series. Then it has suspense and gore. That's on the list. And at the end, once we get to, I'm gonna go through some more comments, and then we're gonna close out with the upcoming content that y'all need to be on the lookout for. Speaking of horror, Day of the Dead is coming on TV in an hour. Now, which Day of the Dead? The Mothman had me genuinely scared. Yeah, silly old bear. Oh, Pooh, silly old bear. Y'all, I love that movie. I love that movie. If you haven't, make sure you watch my video on my what was it called? Ooh, child, my mind. Guilty pleasure horror movies. My favorite guilty pleasure horror movies. Because the new Winnie the Pooh definitely made the cut. I love that. And I went into that movie expecting to hate. I just knew I wasn't even going to finish it. Because everybody, it just was dogging it out. I have loved Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey from the first moment I saw it. I literally saw that movie like 10 times in 1 week. Like, that movie, I love that movie. I love that movie. Why do women have to be topless to die? Why not? See, yeah. And see, that's the thing where, and that's what's so, and maybe that's something else I want to explore. But the audience for horror has always historically been predominantly male. The movies were geared towards men. And when I was watching Winnie the Pooh and he ripped the girl's shirt off and she had to die topless, I literally said that like, this must be for men. I guess men enjoying this, y'all sickos. That's who it's for, because why not? Yes, I'm an example of what you don't do. You wanted to hang with mama and was never interested in comedy or cartoons. I think you was trying to make me happy, but you just was never wanting cartoons. That is my mother. If there's not a good reason for nudity, like it doesn't move the story along, why do I see titties? I'm not really a stickler about it. Like, I kind of like be like, oh, child, sex scenes and nudity. I'd be like, oh, Lord, child, what, like, what? But I just be like, child, this for men. Like, like it doesn't bother me, but I'd be like, I do agree with you. Like, if it's not something pertinent to the actual plot and like it was actually like if I can cut out the sex scene or the nudity scene and it makes no difference in the movie and like the story, then it's pointless. But it's not a big deal to me. But yeah, I agree. Yes, I thought the Mothman Prophecies is what you were talking about. Terrifier has a graphic scene with nudity and gore. Terrifier is the epitome of made for men horror, but I love them movies. Yes. Start the child out with Elvira. You know, you got to start the kids out on light horror, okay? You missed one of my earlier messages because this chat is on fire. What is your favorite kind of horror, gore, psychological, disturbing, etc.? The favorite horror for me, the horror that is closest to my heart, the horror that brings me sunshine and roses and happiness and fluttering feelings is gore. I am a gore fiend. I love gore. Number two would be psychological. But I absolutely love gore. I am a gore fiend. You can give me a mindless gore horror with the dumbest story, and if it has good effects, like good gore, I will enjoy it. I love a mediocre ass horror movie, especially if there's gore. You are sensitive to what other people are going through. Oh, is that what empath means? Yes, I am. I always I don't know that word. I've never heard empath, but yes. I always just say I'm too empathetic. And it's probably sounds psychotic, but that is my least favorite trait about myself. I feel like I'm too empathetic. Like I be feeling for people that I feel like shouldn't even be feeling for. TG, stop playing with me. I went through a haunted house alone in a. Your sentence cut out. Were they touching you though? Were they touching you? Your aunt sounds like me. Horror movies disturb my nerves. And I love child and that's why I love like roller coasters and stuff. Like I love it's this thing, the aunt that I was talking about that she says, and she talks about how your body will flood with stress hormones on like roller coasters or watching horror movies, and it will put your body in fight or flight mode. And I guess I get high off my body getting in fight or flight mode. And stress hormones surging. It gives me endorphins. Like I be hype. I went through like it's so like I really. And that's why I love like having this channel and like hearing from other movie fans. This is like literally, like I said, the first time in my life really being able to engage with people that love movies like I do. But I really want to be not like, am I psychotic? Like, do horror movies make other people as genuinely happy as they make me? You know, like the people I know, if they're feeling down or not having a good day, they want to watch a comedy movie. Like they want to laugh. It makes them feel good. If I'm not having a good day, I swear to God, I want to watch a horror movie. Like it literally makes me happy to watch a horror movie. And the darker the better. That's why I'm not a fan of comedy horror. I don't want a break from the tension. I want it to be straight, just dark horror. And it lights up my soul. It really lights up my soul. I went through a haunted house alone in a remote farming community in Connecticut. I was literally the only person there besides the people running the place. Baby, that sounds like that horror movie I saw when them kids went up in that haunted house in the middle of nowhere and everybody got. You better be careful. Your life about to turn into a horror movie, child. That's the thing about haunting movies. I would just leave telling the ghost, hey, I'm out. Who would stay in a haunted house? You know what? That's one of my favorite horror subgenres is oh, the official word escapes me, but you know, with ghosts and hauntings and all that stuff, because that is something that I believe in real life. Like, if somebody, I need to get my glasses resized, to keep sliding. If somebody were to come to me, you know how people come to somebody in a movie and say they saw a ghost and nobody believes them? Baby, I would believe you. Like, I swear, like, I would believe you. I know somebody personally who always be saying they see spirits. Baby, I believe you. I believe you. I do not play games when it comes to like ghosts and demonic and I ain't religious or anything, but like I believe that stuff. Like I'm not playing with stuff I don't know nothing about. Because maybe it's real, maybe it's not, but since I don't know, I'm not effing with it. I'm not playing. Baby, you tell me somebody was murdered in the house, you tell me the house is haunted, I don't even want to be in the city. I'm not playing no games. I told you I'm a scaredy cat in real life. Like in real life, I'm a scaredy cat. I will never forget, y'all. I had a real horror movie moment. And this is why you got to give horror movies, like the characters that make stupid choices, you got to give them a little grace. Because in real life, you might do something real stupid. This was a long time ago. I think I was like 19, no, a little older than 19. My mom had just bought her house. She had just bought her house and I was living on my own and had to come back home. Or did I move out? I can't remember. But anyway, I was living with my mama. I was like 20 years old. And she has a garage, right? And I got up in the middle of the night, whole house sleep quiet, and to go to the kitchen to get like something to drink, whatever the hell. Y'all, I hear a noise from the garage that sounds like somebody flattening tires. You know how if a tire losing air, you can literally hear the air hissing? That's what I heard. And it sounded like somebody was in a movie. Y'all, I was so scared. Like it was a real horror movie moment. And I felt dumb as hell. Y'all, you know what I did? Hello? Like all the stuff you yell at people for in the horror movie, I did that ish. I did all of it. And I was like, why the hell is my black ass investigating a strange noise? Like, y'all, I will never forget that. Terrifier is above board gory. The thing that bothers me about those movies is the extreme violence against the female characters. I completely agree. That is something else in what we were talking about earlier that I really hate, but it's not like an essay scene. Like I will still sit through it and I will still enjoy the movie, but it bothers my spirit. I really hate unnecessary violence against the female characters. Like I really do. I really do. It bothers my spirit. But, you know, what can I do? It was good though. Lots of tension and suspense. Yes, The Haunt. Thank you. That's the movie. Yes, that's what I was talking about. Thank you, TG. Thank you. What happened, Vanessa? You were brave. You were being brave with that go. Oh, and I didn't even tell y'all what it was. There was nobody in the garage. It was like a bicycle in there that just had a flat tire, and the air was. I could hear the air hissing. That's what it was. That's what it was. Okay. So, y'all, we've been on this live for 3.5 hours. What the hell? Baby. Oh, wow. I didn't even realize that. So I just saw that. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up. And we are going to get into the upcoming content for you guys to be on the lookout for. Now, I need y'all to make sure y'all show up for the polls. Okay? Vote. Okay, you got a little control over the content you want to see. So let me give y'all a little tutorial. Okay, this is the channel. These is the tabs: home, videos, shorts, live, play, community tab. Okay, make sure you check out the community tab, babes. Okay, and make sure you go to the polls. Which video do y'all want to premiere first? The Haunting of Hill House or Fair Play? Only 14 people done rolled up to vote. Make sure y'all vote. And the other content we got coming, The Killer. Yeah, I saw it for 5 minutes and turned it off, but I do want to go back to it and do content on that. Where's that other poll at? I already said The Haunting of Hill House is coming up. That's with the poll y'all need to vote on so I can know which one is coming first. The Girlfriends versus Sex in the City. Only 22 people pulled up to the poll on what the thumbnail should be. So pull up to the poll, y'all. And that video is coming. And it's just taking a little longer because I really want to organize this video. And one thing my mama used to always tell me when I was a kid, you think you don't be listening to your parents, but somehow they madness seeps in. She used to always tell me, like, it's no point in doing something if you just gonna have do it. And as much as sometimes I'd be like, man, I'm finna just kind of do something a certain way, I can't have do it. So obviously I'm not finna rewatch like both entire series all over again, but certain episodes that I want to talk about in that video, I'm rewatching the episodes and I'm trying to like structure the video because I'm on my structured tip these days. Okay, I'm trying to be structured. So that video is taking a little longer, but that is coming up. The Girlfriends versus Sex in the City video. So show up, vote for the thumbnail, and look, 20 votes on the poll. So show up and vote. So the Fall of House of Usher is leading right now. So I will be doing that. Slasher, someone specifically that's always supporting the content, ask for that. So that will be coming. But when y'all vote, it tell me what to do, what not to do, what to work on first. Because I'll be working on 1,100,000 ideas at one time. So y'all help me know where to steer my attention for the moment. Like, what are y'all most looking forward to? What y'all want to see first? And I feel like it's one more poll in here. Oh, why Tropic Thunder was and still is brilliant. That is still coming. The horror movies that made me, that is still coming. If y'all don't really vote for Hunger Games, I don't think that one's gonna come. I've never seen Hunger Games, but I wanted to watch the franchise for the first time and talk about it. And watch the new one that's coming out. But if y'all don't show up to vote for it, then y'all ain't gonna worry about it. Cause that's one of the movies where like I don't really care about it, but I could see it. But if y'all don't care about it, then I don't care about it. So look, make sure y'all show up for the polls, okay? So don't be all talking about, oh, why Nikki ain't talk about XYZ. Baby, did you vote? Baby, did you comment? Okay, I can't talk about something if I know y'all don't want me to talk about it. But also some ideas that I have, y'all, when I tell y'all I am the most ridiculous, like unorganized person that tries to be organized, my lists are so out of control. Okay, see, you bothering with me now. My lists are so out of control, y'all. Like I try, you know how you got them people, they be making lists and stuff that organized. I try, but it's all over the place. And my brain is so scattered. So I have a lot of ideas and a lot of stuff that I'm like working on. So y'all gotta help me reel it in to focus on like, okay, like what ideas are popping out to y'all or that y'all, like. So some other ideas I have is it's a TV show called Culprits, a world at the end, a murder at the end of the world. But remember, I'm doing TV shows differently. I am not following them episode by episode. When the season ends, I'm doing a full series breakdown. Reptile, Bodies on Netflix. What's Locked In? See, y'all, I be trying to be organized, but I don't even know what the hell I be talking. I jotted down Locked In. I don't know if that's a movie or a TV show. I got slasher series on here. Suitable Flesh, When Evil Lurks. I could cross that off. We already got that video up. My fave Final Girls tier list ranking. That is still coming. But the way I operate, y'all, I feel like I need to talk to a professional because it is literally something wrong with my brain, and I wish I could call it. I feel like I get in these states of kind of being a little manic. And I feel like I have to do stuff like a certain way that probably makes no sense. And I'm pretty sure my videos take so long because I'm pretty sure I go the long way around the block. But when it comes to the videos I do where I'm covering different movies and stuff, even if they are movies that I have seen 100 times, I have to watch them again before I do the video. So we are close to Final Girls tier list ranking coming. Even though I've seen the movies a billion times, I rewatched all of them. and I took notes on the Final Girls, and I have my actual list together, okay? So I have the list of the Final Girls that's making a cut that I'm going to talk about. So what I'm working on now is I need to actually film the video. I need to structure my notes and structure the video. And I'm trying to figure out how I record my screen and record myself, because I need y'all to see my screen for the actual tier list. So y'all know I'm not tech savvy, like I said. So I be having to figure this stuff out. So that's where we are with that video. But we moving along. We chugging. So I just need to figure out the technical stuff on that and actually structure the video. Because, I'm trying to be structured. Y'all know, usually I just be running my mouth. And I really don't have no organization. But I'm trying to have organization, even though it's so not me. I'm trying to be a better content creator. Okay, so which one do y'all think sound better? To accompany the Sex and the City versus Girlfriends video, I'm going to do a video of either what do y'all think is better? Top 20 best episodes ranked of Sex and the City, top 10 best episodes ranked. And should I do a ranking of the best Sex and the City episodes, or should I do ranking of best? No, I think best episodes is better than best seasons. Should I also rank the top 10 or top 20, whichever number y'all think is better, or top 5 of Girlfriends episodes to accompany that? I want to get back to Breaking Bad. I have managed to avoid Breaking Bad spoilers for the last 50 years, and I don't want to continue to press my luck. I watched the first season or the first 2 seasons. It's somewhere on my channel. I think he got his own playlist. I want to get back to Breaking Bad because I really want to see the movie, and I'm ready to watch it. So I want to get back to that. So I did want y'all have been on this live too long. These dolls is not having it no more. I did my 100 favorite movies of the 90s. So, and y'all see, this is how scatterbrained I be. I did that video like a year ago. And at the time I said I was going to cover every decade, but baby, we coming. Okay. The decades is coming. So I'm going to do each decade. And y'all, literally, I'm scatterbrained, and I promise you, I work on everything at like one time. So look, I don't know if y'all can see. This is my list for the decade of 2000 to 2009. Like, I actually am jotting down movies. Okay, like I'm working on it, but I'm scatterbrained and I work on multiple videos at one time. I don't know how the hell I live life, y'all. Like, I'm so all over the place, but I am actively working on it. So we're going to move to the next decade, 2000 to 2009, and then 2010 to 2019. It ain't as long, but y'all, like, I'm working on it. I'm just scatterbrained, and I get gung-ho about one thing, and then I get sidetracked and I'm gung-ho about something else. So I bounce around. I don't know. It's ridiculous. I get a little manic. Oh, my trilogies tier list ranking video. So I'm going to do a tier list, and it's going to be a 2-part, because we're going to rank each franchise against the other, and then we're going to rank the individual movies. So as I'm listing off these ideas, just let me know what speaks to you, what ideas you like what idea should I gravitate my attention to. Of course, stuff like The Haunting of Hill House and stuff like that's coming up next. But all the other ideas, like, let me know what y'all like, what speaks to y'all. Now, stuff like the trilogies tier list ranking and the decades video, that stuff that's likely not going to come until after my move. I'm moving out of state, if y'all aren't aware, because those are videos that's going to take a lot. It's not just watching a movie and reviewing it. Like, I'm going through a lot to like put those together. So that might be after the move, but it's going to come. Okay. I'm like Jesus. I may not come when you want it, but I'm always on time. Even though I'm always late, I'm always on time. What's some other ideas I have? Favorite horror villains, 50 best horror movies of all time. What's some best Netflix original series, best Netflix original movies? Like, so just let me know what y'all think about the idea. Should I do like top 10 best Netflix original movies? Like, what do y'all think? Or do you just not like that idea at all? What's some other stuff I was thinking of? Okay, you know what idea I had? Now, see, y'all be showing my videos dust a lot of times, but my video on my favorite guilty pleasure horror actually did pretty good. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should do something else in regards to like, do y'all like mediocre movies like I do? Because y'all showed up for that one. So I was thinking about doing something else with like a mediocre movie Monday type of thing. I don't know. It's M's, so that's why I put it together. Um, but just something else because I love mediocre horror, but I also like mediocre action movies. But what do y'all think? Um, what else? What else? What else? Y'all, it's so scary. Like literally, my list is so out of control. Like it's ridiculous. But let me see what y'all talking about. Let's see. The Final Girls will be a fun topic. Yes, I am so excited for that Final Girls tier list ranking, especially because anytime I hear people talk about Final Girls, it's certain ones that are never mentioned, and I don't know why. I mean, I know why, but I don't know why. But I pretty much just like jot down stuff that I'm like, oh, I would like to do something on that. Oh, I would like to talk about that. So I just need y'all to like help hone me in, like steer me in what direction, what y'all think sounds good. Okay, Locked In is a movie. Okay, because and y'all, I get so confused since I don't watch previews. So I'll like see a movie poster and something, and then I'll just jot a movie down or a TV show, and then I go back and I'm like, what the hell was this? Because it's nothing to like ring a bell. Because you know, if you see a preview of something, and you're like, oh, this was XYZ. But since I try not to really know anything, sometimes I just be like, what was I on that day? On the mediocre horror, maybe a video of recommendations and brief synopsis. Sounds good. Mediocre. Bring the baby back. She on my nerves. Hunger Games can wait. Okay. That ain't nothing I really care about. So I'm listening to y'all. So, you know, if I ask your opinion, y'all needs to give it. Are we voting for the next president? No, you're voting for the next video. It would be fun if you did a video or live on a classic horror film that most people have seen. I thought I voted on a stream. Notice you put out. I'll check it again. Yes, vote. Come on now, y'all. We got to be, we got to be interacting. I'm trying for the polls. Yes. Dang, you are being oh, okay. We was up there. Okay. Do we have any last thoughts? Any close thoughts? Best horror movie idea ever done. Child, I know you don't want me to answer that right now. That's a best horror movie idea ever done. My little brain would explode. I don't know. That's something I got to really think about. Best movie idea ever. That's something I got to. I don't think, and you know what? Scratch that. I do have an answer. I don't think there is one. I don't think there is one of the. That's this the best idea ever. On the mediocre. Oh, sorry, we already read that. Okay, if that is our last final thoughts, thank you guys for showing up to the live. Thank you for blowing the chat up. Thank you for supporting. If you're in here, make sure you hit like. You know, you gotta let the algorithm know that you like the content. So this was successful. Was it successful? Was I on my shit? Was I organized? I did that. I was 3 hours late, but I did that. So thank you for showing up, and we got a live schedule tomorrow. But on her shit, Nikki may not be here tomorrow. So it may be postponed or we might do it. I don't know. It depends on, because I haven't gotten that video together yet. Like, y'all know I just got my slides and all that together for this like an hour ahead of time because my day today did not go how I expected it. So tentatively, we will have our live tomorrow. And the live tomorrow is it's going to be structured like this one was, where we're going to go through one or two articles, or maybe just one. I don't know. It depends on the flow and how long we spend on certain topics. But we will be discussing what went wrong with and just like that. So tentatively, that will be a live for tomorrow at 5:15, or it'll show whatever your time zone is. And if I cannot make it, don't hold it against me. That means we'll be doing it the next weekend. But thank you guys. Thank you so much for showing up, for supporting, and make sure you are have your notifications on. Look, I have another idea. I forgot to tell y'all. It ain't in my notes because sometimes I try to make the little list to be organized, but sometimes stuff just be in my head. Okay, so something I thought about was, you know how like y'all, we do a review and y'all like comment, say what you think. I was thinking it would be fun to have it where I can like have y'all on the screen and you can like give your own like thoughts on whatever topic we decide, like whatever TV show or movie we're talking about. We could do a live chat on it where like y'all can join the review. Like, what do y'all think about that? Like, I think that would be fun. Like, I think that would be cool, but I don't know how I would do it because, I can't just have anybody hop up on the screen and then, say something crazy and then F up my channel. So I don't know. But what do y'all think about that? I was thinking that could be fun, so like people could, get their opinion, get their opinion out. But let me know in the comments what y'all think about that idea. It's late as hell. It's motherfucking midnight. Why the hell am I on here at midnight? Oh, because we started late and I run my mouth a lot. And this is almost 4 hours. Thank y'all for supporting my channel. And watch, I'm growing. Okay. I'm trying to be a better content creator. So thank you. I'll see you next time. Maybe tomorrow or maybe not.